Chapter 3130. The Gue race used to be a super race, comparable to the insect race now. They had been living in seclusion for tens of thousands of years. The battle back then had greatly damaged them. One of their peak warriors was severely injured and dying. The few warriors that were infinitely close to the peak all died in battle. More than half of the hundreds of Saint Emperors died in battle. In the end, they surrendered and went into seclusion. Although their enemies won, they suffered heavy losses, so they didn't pursue them. Of course, a big reason was that the Gue race's peak warriors were dying, but not yet. If they attacked forcefully, they would suffer heavy losses. Because of this, the Gue race survived. They hid in the frigid poison mountain to recuperate and accumulate strength. They wanted to come out after they had completely recovered. The big races and old demons of the realm of emptiness all knew of the Gue race's existence. No one dared to provoke them. The Gue race didn't come out or fight for anything, so there was no need to provoke them. The Gue race had been living in peace for so many years. They never thought that warriors would dare to come to the frigid poison mountain to attack them. So they were a little confused today. They only woke up after Luli deciphered the godly glyphs and attacked. However, when the experts of the Gue race sensed that there were 10 Saint Emperors outside, the first thing they thought of was that their enemies had come looking for them. Plus, thousands of their people had been killed, so they didn't care about anything else. They fought first. Bloodsoul, Jade, wanted to explain. The Lesson 3 freaks also felt it was troublesome and wanted to leave. But the Gue warriors were already here. They couldn't leave. There was no point in saying anything. Would the Gue race believe them if they said they were framed and they didn't kill the Gue warriors? Would the Gue race stop attacking? More than 30 Saint Emperors surrounded them, and the experts were forced to fight. Bloodsoul Jade stood at the very front. As he fought with an expert from the Gue race, he roared, "Fight and retreat, don't get entangled." There were more than 30 Saint Emperors from the Gue race. None of them were infinitely close to the peak, but there were at least 8 of the late stage. If they fought to the death, the Lesson 3 freaks might be fine, but they would definitely die. We were careless. Bloodsoul Jade was regretful. They had been tricked twice. They could only blame themselves for being stupid. They could only blame themselves for being blinded by hatred. They could only blame Luli for being too cunning. Of course, the fact that their intelligence wasn't clear was also a big part of the reason. The battle was very bitter. The Gue race's experts had been hiding for tens of thousands of years, and their hearts were filled with rage. Now, there was an enemy who dared to attack and killed so many of their clansmen. Most importantly, the enemies were not as strong as they were. Of course, they had to kill all of them. First, it was to avenge their people. Second, it was to make the name of the Gue clan resound throughout the chaotic starfields. As soon as Luli teleported away, he flew away from the realm of infinite emptiness. He had already done what he needed to do. As for the final outcome, it all depended on his luck. He once again left a brother of the Guan family to scout for information in the 10,000 Sky realm. This matter would definitely cause an uproar, so it should be very easy to scout for information. He brought Guan Yang and the others to a large realm nearby, where they waited for news. If most of the experts of the Blood Clan were killed this time, and the 3 monsters of Lesson were also killed, then he didn't need to run anymore. He could just return to the Myriad Sky realm to hunt down the remaining experts. If not too many powerful ones were killed, then he would have to find a way to trap and kill more powerful ones of the Blood race. As long as the Blood race was alive, the war would not stop. It had only been 10 days before the news came. It was neither good nor bad. The 3 monsters of Lesson and Bloodsoul Jade's entry into the realm of infinite emptiness attracted the attention of many major races. Therefore, they sent scouts to follow them. The battle at the Mountain of Frigid Poison was noticed as well. The battle was so intense that it was hard not to notice. The battle was brutal. It lasted for half a day. 2 of the Gue race's Saint Kings were killed, 5 of Bloodsoul Jade's Saint Kings were killed, and 1 of the 3 monsters of Lesson was killed. Of the 11 powerful warriors, only 5 were left. They were still being chased by the Gue race, but they had left the realm of infinite emptiness. Luli had thought that the Gue race was so powerful that it was said that they had warriors that were close to the consummate realm. If so, he should have left the three monsters of Leshan and Blood Soul Jade here. In this way, he could have solved the problem once and for all. That being said, it was good enough that he could kill 6 of them. What he feared was that there would be no fight, which would have been in vain. Also, the Gue race was still chasing them. Maybe he could kill a few more. If only I could kill the remaining 2 of the 3 monsters of Leshan. These 3 were the strongest. Luli had tricked them twice, and this time, one of his brothers had died. The 3 monsters of Leshan would not let it go. Let's go. Luli left the realm and went to the sky. He was ready to follow them. If there was a chance to secretly attack, he would not miss it. At this moment, the 3 monsters of Leshan and Blood Soul Jade were probably all wounded, and their strength was greatly reduced. Only by following them could he find a suitable opportunity. At this moment, there were many scouts in the sky. They were all from a major races of the nearby realms. They naturally wanted to know the result of such a battle as soon as possible. They also wanted to know the power of the Gue race. Since the Gue race had come out, they would not continue to hide. The Gue race had sent more than 30 Saint Kings this time. It was said that this was not all of their powerful warriors. The Gue race was a strong enemy for the major races of the nearby realms. If the Gue race had warriors that were infinitely close to the consummate realm, then it was highly possible that they could dominate the nearby realms. Luli flew in a low profile. With the trace of Tao, he could avoid all the scouts. Through some scouts, he had a rough idea of the route that Blood Soul Jade and the others were taking. At the moment, they were running towards a large realm nearby, the Astral Realm. It was said that there was an enemy of the Gue clan in that realm, so as long as Blood Soul Jade and the others escaped to that realm, they should be safe. Luli thought about it. He flew the Holy Mountain toward the Astral Region. He wanted to enter the Astral Region early so that he could stop them. They might be badly injured when they came in. It would be easier for him to kill them. He flew the Holy Mountain fast. By the time he arrived at the Astral Region, Blood Soul Jade and the others hadn't come in yet. Luli entered the Astral Region directly and hid in the void, waiting for Blood Soul Jade and the others to come. Whoosh! In the void, Blood Soul Jade and the others were covered in blood. They were running for their lives. They almost lost a Saint King along the way. If it weren't for the fact that the leader of the 3 Freaks of Mount was strong enough to stop the Gue race, they would all be dead. They were flying toward the Astral Region because there was an enemy of the Gue race here, a race that fought with them years ago. As long as they could enter this region, they would be safe. The powerful warriors of the Gue race would not dare to come after them. Wait, when they were close to the Astral Region, Blood Soul Jade paused. He sensed the presence of the blood seal in the Astral Region, which meant that Luli was here. Luli was not at the Astral Region. He must be up to something by coming here. There were wolves in front and tigers behind. Blood Soul Jade wanted to die. He told the leader of the 3 Freaks of Mount about the situation. The leader waved his hand and said, "Let's go in. If this bastard doesn't come to us, I would like to go and find him. My 3rd brother died because of him. If I don't kill him, how can I, Injia, live in the Chaotic Star region?" Please remember the domain name of this book. 3rd Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 31:31. The 5 wounded Saint Kings dashed into the region of astral brilliance. As expected, the Gue race did not go after them. They were a formidable enemy, and they were not ready for a full-scale war. They had to leave with resentment. Not long after they went in, a mountain whooshed over. Luli had been waiting for them in midair. Naturally, he flew over as soon as he saw the 5. Luli had the Holy Mountain. He believed that as long as he did not run into warriors that were close to the complete realm, the Holy Mountain could not be breached. What was more, Blood Soul Jade and the others were injured. Luli was not afraid. He wanted to see if there was a chance. If there was, he would kill all 5 Saint Kings. He is here. Blood Soul Jade stared at the Holy Mountain with bloodshot eyes. He could feel that the blood seal was getting closer. He was trembling. It was all because of Luli. This person was like a devil, haunting them from beginning to end. He wanted to drag the blood race into the bottomless abyss and kill every last one of them. At this moment, Blood Soul Jade suddenly hated the blood race in the Green Tiger region. Why did they provoke Luli? Why did they have to be so arrogant? Did they think that they were still the blood race that dominated the fourth heaven? Well, Luli checked from the distance. He had an idea. It seemed that there was a chance to kill them all. Apart from Injie, the leader of the three freaks of Leshan, the other Saint Kings were all badly injured. Injie seemed to be fine, but he was paler, which meant that he was injured. Blood Soul Jade was in a better state. Of the other three Saint Kings, one had lost half of his head and shoulder. Another had his chest broken with a big hole. The last one was in the worst condition. His breath of life was weak. He was struggling to fly, as if he could pass out at any time. Luli could not kill Injie, and Blood Soul Jade might not be able to either. But he could try to kill the other three Saint Kings. How could he miss such a good chance? He checked for a while. Then, he sped up the Holy Mountain and smashed at one of the Saint Kings. The Holy Mountain was not far away to begin with. Injie and the others were unprepared when they sped up. The Holy Mountain smashed away a Saint King. Swish, Injie made a move in rage. He released a huge hand covered with divine glyphs and reached at the Holy Mountain. The sacred mountain trembled slightly, but it continued to fly forward. At the same time, Luli dashed out. He consumed a drop of purple divine liquid and used formations to seal up the soul of the already wounded Saint King. Then, he sprayed some venom and entered the Holy Mountain. The Saint Emperor was already heavily injured, so he roared and rolled a few times before turning into a skeleton. The Blood Soul Jade cried out in sorrow. There were only 3 Saint Kings of the blood race left, and one of them had died. Were all the powerful warriors of the blood race going to die in Luli's hands? His powerful attack immediately poured down, crazily attacking the sacred mountain. The other experts also began to attack fiercely. A Saint Sovereign used the true intent of space and sealed the space around the Saint Mountain. The Saint Mountain's speed was greatly reduced. That old bastard wasn't killed by the Gouet. Luli was troubled. He flew the sacred mountain as fast as he could. A glint of anger rose in Injie's eyes. His attacks became more violent. He did not believe that he could not crack a piece of artifact. The noise of the fight attracted the attention of many powerful warriors in the astral region. Many great Emperor Realm warriors flew up to watch. Some of them recognized Injie. After all, he was a famous warrior in the Chaotic Star region. Injie was even angrier when he saw there were warriors watching. He felt humiliated. He had been attacking for such a long time, and yet he could not crack a piece of artifact. A sword appeared in his hand. Filled with source energy, he hacked at Luli. Swish, the noise was like a tiger's roar or a dragon's roar. A ray of cold glare lit up the sky, lighting up an area with a radius of tens of thousands of miles. It was as if a heavenly sword had come into being. That kind of overwhelming energy made the souls of the warriors nearby palpitate. It was as if this move could not be defeated or resisted. That move, Luli was frightened as well. The power of this move reminded him of the ferocious beast he encountered in the swamp of ancient poison. The energy was so horrifying that Luli was worried that the sacred mountain could not stand it. Boom! The ray of sword light smashed down. The sacred mountain was smashed away. The sword intent seeped in. Inside, Guanyang and the others spat out blood. Master, some glyphs on the sacred mountain are damaged. We cannot stand it any longer. Run. Blood Fairy said. Luli flew the sacred mountain to the distance at the top of his speed. Fortunately, the move had smashed the sacred mountain away for tens of thousands of miles. Otherwise, Luli would not have been able to get away. The sacred mountain's speed was too fast, much faster than Injie. In an instant, it disappeared into the horizon. Injie chased for a while with Blood Soul Jade and a group of Saint Emperors. Making sure that they could not catch up, Injie glared at the sacred mountain and flew down. That move was so forceful that it alarmed many warriors nearby. They were badly wounded. They must find a place to tend to their wounds at once. Otherwise, they would be in trouble if they were targeted by the Asmodean. Luli flew the sacred mountain away for a while. He did not dare to be so ostentatious. He flew down, sneaked into a city, and then teleported away. Injia and the others were badly wounded. Luli believed that they would not come after him anytime soon. He was safe for now. While teleporting, Luli was worried. Injia was too strong. Luli might not be able to kill Injia. If Luli could not kill Injia, then he would be hunted down and never have a day of peace. He truly lives up to his reputation. Luli exclaimed. That move was so powerful. If it were not for the sacred mountain, he would have been smashed into pieces. The power of that move was shocking. It was the most powerful attack Luli had ever seen. Well, Luli suddenly had an idea. He thought of a way that might be able to make Injia and the others fall into eternal damnation. Since Injia and the others were badly wounded, he could kill them while they were down. After thinking for an hour, Luli quietly teleported back. He found a big city nearby. He found a restaurant and asked for some information. Then, he bribed many waiters to pass on the information. After that, he went to the big cities nearby and also bribed waiters to pass on the information. He changed his appearance every time. Once, he changed into the appearance of an insect. He teleported to more than a dozen big cities and bribed hundreds of waiters to pass on the information for him. The information he wanted to pass on was simple. The three freaks of Lesan obtained a treasure from the immortal region and were chased into the realm of infinite emptiness by the Asmodeans. Everyone's mouths could melt gold. Luli wanted this news to spread across the realm of infinite emptiness. When the rumor spread far and wide, there would be people who would believe it. In the process of spreading, the rumor would change. Once some old demons were interested, there would be more. The power of that move was so strong that it covered an area with a radius of more than 3,000 miles. Countless warriors nearby saw it and spread the rumor. When the old demons made a move, they would be in trouble. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 31-32. Boom, boom, boom. In a mountain in the middle of the myriad sky realm, there was an explosion. Then a figure flew out. That warrior was a Saint Emperor. His body was covered in blood and wounds. Get lost. I'll say it again. I didn't get any treasures in the immortal domain, and I didn't get the legendary celestial sword. I haven't even entered the immortal domain. If you dare to come after me again, I will kill all of you. A furious voice sounded. It was Jia's roar. The Saint Emperor looked at him with hatred, turned around, and fled into the distance. Swish! But after the time it took for 2 incense sticks to burn, 2 figures in the distance quietly flew towards the depths of the mountain. Not long after, there was another explosion in the depths of the mountain and Jia's angry roar. There was no doubt that Luli's plan was successful. Rumors were easy to spread, and it was easy for people to believe them. When countless warriors spread it, there would always be old demons or experts of big clans who would be tempted. The treasure of the immortal domain. The immortal domain was a place that all warriors yearned for. It was very difficult to enter. The gate to the immortal domain opened once every 1,000 years. Without the key, even if you were an expert at the perfection realm, you couldn't enter. It was said that there were immortal weapons in the immortal domain that were more powerful than holy weapons. With immortal weapons, one's battle strength could easily be increased by 10 times. This rumor was spread in an orderly manner. It was said that this immortal weapon came from the Gue clan. Back then, an old ancestor of the Gue clan had entered the immortal domain. This was also a fact. It was said that the Gue clan was not exterminated in the end because that expert at the perfection realm used a super killing weapon. And the reason why the 3 devils of Lesan were chased by the Gue clan was because they snatched this immortal weapon when Jia entered the myriad sky realm. The momentum of the sword he released was too great, and countless warriors felt it. This made the rumor real. Only 2 of the 3 devils of Lesan were left, and they were seriously injured. Some old demons thought that whether it was true or not, it was not wrong to come and take a look, right? What if they could really get this immortal weapon? Go. After repelling the 2 Saint Emperors, Jie didn't dare to stay here any longer. He believed that if they continued to stay in the myriad sky realm, they would sooner or later be killed by the old demons. What he said now was useless. Even if he gave the saint weapon in his hand to someone else, it would be useless. Those old devils definitely wouldn't believe that it was an immortal weapon. They would definitely kill him and take his space ring. Damn it, Blood Soul Jade yelled, clenching his teeth. Luli must be behind all of a sudden for so many warriors to come after them. They had been tricked twice before. Both times, they could tell that Luli was a sinister and cunning person. Blood Soul Jade would never believe that so many old demons were hunting them down this time, had nothing to do with Luli. Go! Jie brought a few Saint Emperors and flew up into the sky. They could no longer stay here. If they continued to stay, all the old demons in the myriad sky realm would come over. At that time, no matter how strong Jie was, would he be able to fight with a group of old demons continuously? The 4 Saint Emperors rushed up into the sky, but before they could do so, they discovered that there were many top-notch scouts chasing after them. These scouts were not strong, but their tracking abilities were not weak. Piss off! Jie sensed it and instantly let out a furious roar. The long sword in his hand ruthlessly slashed forward, turning the 2 quasi-emperors into meat paste. He roared, "I will say it again, I do not have any so-called immortal weapon in my hands. These are all rumors spread by an enemy of mine. Whoever dares to continue to chase after me, I will kill him even if I have to die." After shouting, Jie immediately rushed out with a few Saint Emperors. Not long after they rushed out, they sadly discovered that there were still many tails behind them. They couldn't get rid of them no matter what, unless they went back and cleaned up these tails. But the problem was that there were so many tails. Could they clean them all? Let's go. They could only flee as fast as they could. They were still faster than the scouts. They wanted to get rid of these tails. Swish! After flying for an hour, a battleship appeared in front of them. An old demon appeared on the battleship. That old demon walked out of the battleship and stared at Jie. "You are the leader of the 3 monsters of Leshan. Jie, hand over the immortal weapon and I will spare your life." "Who do you think you are?" Jie was infuriated. This was just a middle-stage Saint Emperor, and he actually dared to boast so shamelessly? Was it because they were injured? When did the 3 monsters of Leshan become so easy to bully? Jie didn't even bother to talk nonsense and immediately started the battle. Blood Soul Jade and the others were also forced to make a move. With 4 Saint Emperors working together, they easily repelled this Saint Emperor. However, just as they defeated this old devil, a black figure flew over from afar. Before it even arrived, it had already released a violent attack. "This can't go on," Blood Soul Jade panicked. If this continued, he and the other Saint Emperor would probably be buried with them. Jie had now become the target of everyone. If they followed him, there would always be old demons chasing after them. Their injuries were already very serious. If a peerless old demon came, how could they resist? By that time, they would probably perish in this void. He and the other Saint Emperor of the blood race looked at each other and had some thoughts of retreating. This time, Luli's plan was too vicious. Perhaps many old demons knew that this was a rumor, but the 3 monsters of Leshan were absolute experts and had a lot of treasures. Now that he was seriously injured and was a sick tiger, this group of old demons had the intention to take advantage of him. After repelling this old demon, the 4 experts continued to fly forward. When Blood Soul Jade saw a warship flying in front of him with 5 Saint Emperors on the warship, he couldn't help it anymore and shouted, "Lordine, I'm sorry. Please take care. We will take our leave first. We will ask for your forgiveness when we have the chance." Swish! Blood Soul Jade and the other blood race emitted a blood mist. Then, their speed increased greatly as the 2 blood race quickly fled into the distance. "Blood Soul Jade, you bastard. If I don't die this time, I will exterminate your clan." Jie was extremely furious. They were helping Blood Soul Jade to chase after Luli. It didn't matter if one of his brothers died in battle. Now that they were in danger, Blood Soul Jade actually abandoned them and fled by himself. Hearing these murderous words, Blood Soul Jade's body trembled. Injia was really angry. If Injia was allowed to escape, then the blood race would definitely be exterminated by him. He thought for a moment and shouted, Injia did obtain the immortal sword. I saw it with my own eyes. Quickly kill him. As long as you kill him, you can obtain the immortal sword. There were a lot of scouts in the vicinity. The Blood Soul Jade's roar was equivalent to selling out Injia. Once the news spread, there would probably be more old devils chasing after him. At that time, Injia would die without a burial place. PFFF, Injia spat out a mouthful of old blood and almost fainted. Blood Soul Jade's shamelessness refreshed his understanding. Seeing the eyes of the Saint Emperors in the distance lit up, Injia had a bad premonition. He had roamed the heavenly chaotic star regions for 10,000 years. Maybe this time, he would really die here. P.S. Chapter 4. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Master's mobile version. Chapter 31-33. Injia was defeated, thoroughly defeated. His other brother died along with him. The three freaks of Lesan were all gone. Injia was very strong, but he was injured. Facing the encirclement and pursuit of the old devils, even if he was infinitely close to the great perfection realm, he would not be able to withstand it. Injia's space ring also caused a fight, which led to the death of 7 or 8 old demons. In the end, his space ring was taken away by a relatively famous old demon, who also went into hiding and disappeared. Blood Soul Jade and the others fled back to the Ji-Yuan region. Blood Soul Jade and the other Saint Emperor of the Blood Race were lost. They didn't know what to do next. Luli would not let them go, and they could not stay in the minds of the insect race for long. What to do? This was a problem. Blood Soul Jade thought about it and made a decision, which was to surrender to a major race and seek protection from them. There were more than a dozen branches of the Blood Race and more than a dozen Saint Emperors. Now, only 2 were left. The Blood Race was no longer the same. Survival was the way to go. They had to give up the pride and dignity of the Blood Race. Only by staying alive could they rise again. There was a major race in the Ji-Yuan region, the overlord of the Ji-Yuan region. They had a powerful warrior close to the absolute completion of the realm, more than 20 Saint Emperors and hundreds of thousands of warriors. They were the well-deserved overlord of the Ji-Yuan region. The Qi race. Not only did this race exist in the Ji-Yuan region, but they also had branches in other universes. The Qi race was a famous race even in the chaotic star region. Of course, they couldn't compare with the insect race, which had a powerful warrior at the absolute completion of the realm. Surrender to the Qi race, surrender to them. Seek protection from the Qi race and slowly develop. Blood Soul Jade had been preparing for 10,000 years. This period of time was the incubation period of the Blood Race. He discussed with the other Saint Emperor, and the latter agreed. With the protection of the Qi race, Luli wouldn't dare to do anything rash. The Qi race was a powerful warrior close to the absolute completion of the realm. Luli would be killed easily if he dared to challenge them. When Blood Soul Jade arrived at the Ji-Yuan region, he went to the largest city in the region, the Ji-Yuan city, and asked for a patriarch of the Qi race. As the overlord of the Ji-Yuan region, Blood Soul Jade had always maintained a good relationship with them, and this patriarch was one of them. When the patriarch heard that Blood Soul Jade wanted to surrender to the Qi race on behalf of the Blood Race, the patriarch was shocked. The Blood Race was not strong, but it was a major race. Back in the days, the Blood Race was famous in the Fourth Heaven, much more powerful than the Qi race. The Qi race patriarch reported to the race at once. This caught the attention of the family. The patriarch gathered all the patriarchs together to find out why the Blood Race surrendered. A few days of the investigation and some information from the race. The Qi race. The race, the Qi. With race. Race. From the race's race. Race, the race, a Jia of A. Blood, 1-1 to race, blood Jia of demons. 1-1 Jia, many race Jia 1-1-1 Qi. The Blood Soul Jade and the other Saint King were not to be underestimated. There were so many Blood Race warriors of the Blood Race. All of them were good fighters, but some other patriarchs were against it. The Blood Race was such a powerful race that was almost wiped out. It meant that the blood race's enemies were strong. The three freaks of Lesan had all died. Taking in the blood race would bring endless trouble to the Chi tribe. The family leader of the Chi race was struggling. In the end, he went to the forefather of the Chi race, the one who was close to the absolute completion. That powerful warrior listened to the report and nodded. The Chi race had reached a bottleneck. The surrender of the blood race was an opportunity for the Chi race. The surrender of the blood race would attract more powerful warriors to the Chi race. By then, the Chi race might be able to unify the entire Ji Yuan region. This was the thought of the Chi race's old ancestor. But the Chi race's king was worried. If there were too many outsiders, it would cause internal strife. If the Chi tribe recruited a large group of foreign experts, they wouldn't be able to suppress the foreign experts if they didn't have an expert who was infinitely close to becoming a great perfection expert after the Chi tribe's ancestor died. The Chi tribe would be done for if they couldn't suppress the foreign experts. Those who were not of the Chi race were not of the same mind. The Chi race's old ancestor waved his hand. He could still live for tens of thousands of years. In these tens of thousands of years, the Chi race could really unify the Ji Yuan world. By then, they would have unlimited resources, and the Chi race would be able to nurture a large number of experts. With a large number of experts, it was not impossible for a peerless expert to emerge. The Chi race's old ancestor was the one who held the real power. The Chi race's king didn't dare to say anything anymore. He went out and asked the elders to invite Blood Soul Jade and the others in, representing the Chi race's approval of the blood race's surrender. Then, the Chi race sent out a few elders with Blood Soul Jade and the others to bring the blood race out from the insect race's mines. They then settled them in a huge spirit mountain near the Chi race's base. This spirit mountain used to be the residence of one of the Chi race's branches. It was a great treasure land, and the Chi race generously gave it to the blood race. However, there were too many of them. Even with such a huge spirit mountain, it was barely enough for them to live. For the blood race, it was already good enough to have a place to live and the protection of the Chi race. The Chi race sent an elder over to build the divine rune array formation. Then, there were a few more elders guarding the place to reassure the blood race. Then, Blood Soul Jade made an announcement stating that the blood race would become a vassal race of the Chi race and would follow them for eternity. The Chi race also made an announcement stating that the blood race would become a vassal race of the Chi race. Anyone who dared to attack the blood race would be the Chi race's mortal enemy. The news spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of the Ji Yuan world and the chaotic Heaven Star fields. The news spread like wildfire. After all, the blood race used to be a super race. The fact that it had fallen to such a state made many races sigh with sorrow. Luli was still in a small city in the realm of emptiness. Part of the divine runes on the holy mountain were destroyed and needed to be repaired. Soon, Luli received the news. He was worried. He learned something about the Chi race when he asked around. The Chi race was the overlord of the Ji Yuan world. With the protection of the Chi race, it would be much more difficult to destroy the blood race. Luli had thought that since the three freaks of Leshan were killed, it would not be difficult to destroy the blood race. However, Blood Soul Jade was so cruel. The Blood Soul Jade didn't even care about the dignity of the blood race and became a minion of another major race. Luli had the blood mark in his body. As long as the blood race was alive, there would always be a sword hovering over his head. The Blood Soul Jade could cut him down at any time and crush him into pieces. The hatred between him and the blood race was too deep. The Blood Soul Jade would not let him go. Once the opportunity presented itself, the Blood Soul Jade would find him and tear him apart. Luli could not be safe anywhere without wiping out the blood race. He could only be a thief for 1,000 days. There was no way he could be on guard all the time. Chi race? Luli thought for a moment and snorted. Since the Chi race was protecting the blood race, then Luli would target them as well. He would kill the Chi race until they could not afford to pay the price and sent the blood race out to be slaughtered. Chapter 31-34. The Chi race came from the fourth heaven as well. Back then, they were not a big race. They just fled earlier and were the first to come down and occupy this territory. Later on, they experienced many dangers but survived. Therefore, they grew stronger. In this generation, there was a peerless genius, Ancestor Pan, a warrior very close to the perfect completion. Because of him, the Chi race became the overlord of the universe of accumulative energy. The universe of accumulative energy was not a particularly large one. There were only 3 warriors very close to the perfect completion. They divided up most of the territory of the universe of accumulative energy. There was no special land in the universe of accumulative energy. Warriors at the perfect completion would not be interested in this place. There are 27 Saint Kings and more than a dozen branches of the Chi race. Most of them are at the north of the universe of accumulative energy. Luli had a map in his hand. He was in a small world outside the universe of accumulative energy. He had gathered information, but he was afraid to take actions. He was afraid of that Ancestor Pan of the Chi race. At this moment, the sacred mountain was still in the process of repairing itself. Injia's powerful attack had nearly broken the sacred mountain. Injia was not a warrior very close to the perfect completion. If Ancestor Pan were to make a move, the sacred mountain could be destroyed in an instant. Without the sacred mountain, Injia would be doomed. While waiting for the sacred mountain to be repaired, Luli was also investigating the Chi race to see where to start. After all, the Chi race was not a small race, but a race more powerful than the vampiric race. He was not worried that Blood Soul Jade would attack him. The vampiric race had just gone to the Chi race and had not settled down yet. They would not come out to hunt him down. More importantly, the Chi race would only protect the vampiric race, not avenge Blood Soul Jade. The vampiric race was at a dead end. If they didn't go to the Chi race, they would be destroyed. Therefore, the vampiric race and the Chi race were just making a deal. The vampiric race worked for the Chi race, and the Chi race would protect them. The Chi race would not avenge Luli. Their Saint Kings were precious. Even the death of one Chi race member would be heartbroken. The Chi race would not repeat the same mistake. Luli sent a brother of the Guan family over to monitor the situation. The Chi race had been quiet recently, and there were no signs of any large-scale movements. Maybe the Chi race never thought that Luli would have the guts to attack them. Luli stayed in the nearby region for over 2 months. Then, he moved to another region and continued to hide there. Although he guessed that the Chi clan wouldn't act, it was better to be safe than sorry. That was what troubled Luli. He would never have a peaceful day until the blood race was wiped out. He didn't even dare to stay in one place for too long. If the Blood Soul Jade came with powerful warriors, he wouldn't even know how he died. Luli stayed in this realm for another 3 months. The restoration of the sacred mountain was almost complete. He had been analyzing the information for several months, but he still hadn't made up his mind. His original plan was to attack the Chi clan's branch until they couldn't bear the price, then force them to abandon the kindred. The vampires were just minions, while the Chi tribe was the foundation. If the Chi tribe suffered too many losses, they wouldn't care about the vampires anymore. But did Luli have the ability to subdue the Chi race? That Ancestor Pan's battle prowess was too terrifying. Most importantly, the Blood Clan could track him. If Ancestor Pan chased him with the Blood Soul Jade, would he be able to escape? Luli was not sure which was faster, the Sacred Mountain or Ancestor of Pan. If the Holy Mountain was faster, then Luli would be more confident and he would have a chance to escape. If the Holy Mountain was not as fast as Ancestor Pan, then Luli would be in big trouble. What else can I do apart from attacking the Chi race? Luli paced up and down in a castle. If there were other ways, he wouldn't have to take the risk to attack the Chi race. That Ancestor Pan of the Chi race that was almost at the consummate realm made Luli feel like a mountain was pressing down on him, suffocating him. Apart from attacking the Chi race, Luli could only think of one way, which was to find a super race or a super powerful warrior to say something and force the Chi race to abandon the vampires. The Chi race had just made an announcement. If it wasn't a particularly strong external force, the Chi race wouldn't disgrace themselves. Therefore, Luli had to find a super race or a super old warrior. Otherwise, he could not subdue the Chi race. The thing was, he had just arrived at the chaotic star region. Apart from Guanyang and the others, he didn't know anyone, not to mention super races. At the very least, even if Lu Li knew some super races, would they offend the Qi race for him? The super races would do things for the sake of benefits. Without enough benefits, not even the family patriarch would dare to act recklessly. What could Lu Li offer the super races? He had 1 or 2 holy weapons, and the sacred mountain was a piece of treasure as well. Even if Lu Li offered them to the super races, they wouldn't be interested. Even if they were interested, they wouldn't go against the Qi race for such a small amount of treasures. Unless, if Lu Li were to trade the 3 divine skills, some super races would be interested. But would Lu Li be willing to do that? If he were to trade the divine skills that the Shao demon taught him, the Shao demon would crawl out from the underworld to make trouble for him. Lord, Guanyang came in. He had gone out to gather information. He reported, "I have some information. There is an assassin organization in the Chaotic Star region that is very powerful. They claim that they can kill warriors below the consummate realm." Lu Li was surprised. There was such a powerful organization. If they could be asked to help, the Qi race would abandon the vampires at once. Lu Li asked after some thoughts, "Guanyang, are they asking for a high price?" "I don't know." Guanyang shook his head and said, "We haven't contacted them yet, but I think they are asking for a high price. After all, this is a serious matter." "Do they have a branch in this universe?" Lu Li asked. Guanyang nodded. Lu Li waved his hand and said, "Show me there." Lu Li teleported with Guanyang and arrived at the largest city in this universe. They went to a castle in a remote area. The castle was gloomy, and there was a mark of a blood-red sickle outside the castle. Lu Li followed Guanyang in. There was a skinny old man sitting in the castle. He was a human, a pure-blooded one. The old man looked at Lu Li and asked coldly, "What do you want me to do?" Lu Li thought about it and said, "I want you to help me suppress a race, or, if you can destroy this race, that is possible." The old man frowned and asked, "Which race? How powerful are they?" "Ji Yuan region, Qi race." Lu Li only told him the name of the race. If the assassin organization had never heard of such a large race, then it would be useless. "You want us to help you destroy the Qi race?" The old man's tone was even colder. He glanced at Lu Li and Guanyang and said, "You can afford it? Are you sure you are not joking?" The old man's meaning was clear. They could destroy the Qi race, but Lu Li and Guanyang, 2 emperors, could not afford it. Chapter 31-35. 2 emperors found an assassin organization and asked them to wipe out a race that had dozens of Saint King realm warriors? It sounded like a joke. The Qi race was powerful and wealthy. The assassin organization could make a fortune by wiping out the Qi race. Could the combined wealth of Lu Li and Guanyang compare to the accumulation of the Qi race for hundreds of thousands of years? What price could Lu Li offer to get the assassin organization to take action? That was the question. The assassin organization was a powerful one called Grim Reaper. Their most glorious achievement was severely injuring a warrior at the absolute completion of the Qi race. Even though the warrior didn't die in the end, that battle made the Grim Reaper famous across the Chaotic Star region. More importantly, Grim Reaper didn't have a warrior at the absolute completion of the Chaotic Star region. They only sent out 2 warriors that were very close to it. Theoretically speaking, a warrior at the absolute completion of the Qi race could defeat more than a dozen warriors that were very close to it. But Grim Reaper had broken the rule. This battle became a classic and was praised by warriors of the Chaotic Star region. Lu Li was not joking, but wiping out the Qi race was not a price he could afford. He thought about it and said, "I don't need you to wipe out the Qi race. I just need you to keep attacking the Qi race so that they will stop protecting the blood race. I want to wipe out the blood race, but the Qi race is protecting the Qi race. I am no match for the Qi race. Do you understand?" "Oh." The old man raised his eyebrows. He looked at Lu Li and said, "You are the one that wiped out several branches of the blood race, right? You are the one that incited the Guis and the Guis to fight and spread the rumor to kill the 3 freaks of Lesan, right?" "Yes." Lu Li nodded. This kind of information could be found out if he did some careful research. Luli believed that the insect race must know everything. Since Grim Reaper was known as the #1 assassin organization in the Chaotic Star region, it was natural that they would have good intelligence. My ultimate goal is to wipe out the blood race. You can do whatever you want. Name your price, Luli said bluntly. Wipe out the blood race. The old man's eyes flickered. He stood up and said, "Wait here. I will give you an offer in an hour." Luli nodded. He waited here quietly. The old man went into the corridor and disappeared. An hour later, the old man returned and said, "We don't need to attack the Chi clan. We only need to assassinate the Blood clan. We can help you eliminate all of them." Luli nodded. What he wanted was to destroy the blood race. The Chi race was not important. He didn't need to deal with the Chi race. All he needed to do was to wipe out the blood race. He took a deep breath and said, "Name your price." The old man reached out one hand. Luli and Guanyang looked at each other. Luli asked, 100 million celestial stones. The old man shook his head. Luli felt bitter. He asked again, 1 billion celestial stones? No. The elder shook his head and said, 10 billion celestial stones. Luli rolled his eyes speechlessly. The Grim Reaper was bold enough to offer 10 billion celestial stones. A single Dharch armament could only be sold for a few thousand celestial stones. How many Dharch armaments were there? A house in the Black Tortoise City would cost 100,000 celestial stones. A house in the Holy City would cost 10 million. The Grim Reaper could at most pay 1 billion for a mission. How could he ask for 10 billion? Guanyang also curled his lips. Although he had some confidence in his heart, he was still scared. They had wiped out several branches of the blood race and gained a lot of wealth. That being said, all in all, they had only tens of millions of celestial stones. That being said, most of the wealth in the Blood Mist Mountains was with the Blood Soul Jade. They didn't get their hands on the greatest wealth of the blood race. Otherwise, hundreds of millions of celestial stones would not be a problem. You think it is too expensive? The old man snorted and said, "The blood race has 2 Saint Kings. If it is just the blood race, it is not a big deal. I think we can help you with 1 billion. But the blood race is under the protection of the Chi race. We must withstand the pressure from the Chi race and wipe out the blood race. If we go to war with the Chi race, we will suffer a great loss. So, this price is not negotiable. If you are willing, then pay half of the celestial stones in advance." Half of the celestial stones will be 5 billion. Luli couldn't even afford 500 million, let alone 5 billion. Luli thought about it and asked, "Can I use treasures as a bargaining chip?" "Of course." The old man nodded and said, "Don't worry. The price we offer is absolutely fair. The reputation and credibility of the Grim Reaper is well known throughout the Chaotic Star region." Buzzing, Luli took out the Divine Order chains and asked, "How much is this?" Divine Order chains were treasures in heaven and earth. But for Luli, that didn't mean much. If he could sell them at a high price, he would sell them. Divine Order chains? The old man's eyes glowed. He thought about it and said, "They are treasures in heaven and earth, but they have not been refined. Well, if you want to sell them, we can offer 1 billion. 1 billion? Luli nodded. The Grim Reaper was a good organization. The price was far beyond his imagination. He had thought he could get hundreds of millions of celestial stones. Even if he sold the Divine Order chains, it would not be enough. The most valuable thing Luli had now should be the Holy Mountain. That being said, this mountain was something that could save his life. He would not sell it. Luli took out the halberd of Sovereign Young and asked, "This is a top-level holy weapon with laws of time and space engraved in it. How much do you think it is worth?" Luli believed that the halberd of Sovereign Young was worth some celestial stones, at least hundreds of millions. If the price was right, Luli could sell it. The old man studied it carefully. He didn't ask Luli to release the laws of fundamental principles inside. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, the old man nodded and said, "This halberd must be a holy weapon that a warrior who is infinitely close to the complete completion of the holy weapon has been nurtured for tens of thousands of years. Fundamental principles of time and space are rare as well. This holy weapon is indeed valuable. We can offer one. 5 billion. Hiss, hiss, Guanyan took a few breaths. The lord they followed was really rich. 2 random treasures could be sold for more than 2 billion celestial stones. The dozen of them had been working for so many years, and yet their net worth was less than 100 million. Lu Li had 5 billion now. He still needed 5 billion. Lu Li did have some other treasures, but they wouldn't be worth so many celestial stones. He didn't want to take them out. He thought about it. With a glare, a drop of venom appeared in his hand. He said, "My venom can corrode the body of a Saint Emperor. Since you know how I fought with the blood race, then you must know how many Saint Emperors died, right? They were poisoned by this venom. Do you want this venom?" Oh, the old man's eyes glowed with excitement. He took over Lu Li's venom with origin energy and checked it carefully. Then the origin energy in his hand disappeared and the venom went into his hand. Lu Li was surprised. Guan Yang's pupils contracted as well. He noticed that the old man's arm was being corroded. In a blink, the hand was gone. Whoosh! With a flash of sword light, the old man cut off his own arm. The old man didn't show any pain or dissatisfaction. Instead, he said with excitement, "This is good. We can take as much venom as you have. We can offer 1 million for each drop." 1 million? Lu Li's eyes glowed. He had hundreds of drops of venom in his body. Wouldn't that be hundreds of millions? More importantly, he could go to the swamp of ancient poison to absorb the poisonous fog. What was more, this was the lowest level venom. He had the enhanced version, the dark gray venom. If he could go to the deepest part of the swamp of ancient poison and absorb some red poisonous fog, he could make the red venom. Lu Li was excited. It seemed that he didn't have to sell anything. All he had to do was get enough venom, and then he could have 10 billion celestial stones to ask the god of death to wipe out the blood race. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Master. Chapter 31-36. Lu Li's hand glowed again. A drop of black venom appeared. He said, "This one is 5 times more powerful than the one I gave you before. How much is it worth?" After the old man swallowed a pill, he stretched out his other hand and took it. He closed his eyes and sensed it, then nodded and said, "It's indeed several times stronger. We can also take all of this poison. 5 million godstones for a drop." 5 million. Lu Li was even more excited. He had used some of the venom, but he still had about 140 drops of the black venom. That would be almost 700 million divine stones. It wasn't too difficult for him to obtain these highly toxic liquids. He had more than 400 drops of regular venom. One drop at 1 million divine stones would be worth hundreds of millions. Never did he know that his venom could be worth so much. However, if one thought about it, it made sense. If a drop of poison was used well, it could easily kill a Saint King. In other words, one drop of venom was worth the life of a Saint King. In the hands of the Grim Reaper, the life of a Saint King was valuable. It would cost them at least 100 million divine stones to kill a Saint King. This way, it would be worth it. The key point here was that Lu Li could produce the venom endlessly. As long as he could find the poisonous fog, he could continue to produce the venom. It would take him some time, but he could gather 10 billion divine stones. All he needed was the fog. Lu Li only needed some time to ask the Grim Reaper to help him deal with the blood race. This was a good deal. The blood race was like a blade hovering over his head. They could end his life at any time. Lu Li thought about it and asked, "Do you know about the swamp of ancient poison?" The old man nodded. Lu Li said, "In the depth of the swamp of ancient poison, there is a horrifying beast. If you can kill it or lure it here, I can make venom that is 100 times more powerful. I can sell it to you at half price." 100 times? Are you sure? The old man's expression changed slightly. Lu Li said with great certainty, "That's right. I used up half a droplet and almost killed the late Saint King. If it weren't for the fact that he cut off his own head and flew away, he would have died long ago. That half a drop wasn't even condensed from the pure red poisonous mist. I am confident that if I can absorb the red poisonous mist from the deepest part of the ancient poison swamp, I will be able to condense a poisonous liquid that is 100 times more powerful. I know there's a super strong beast in the ancient poison swamp. The old man said, that giant beast battle prowess is infinitely close to a great perfection stage powerhouse. Because it has been hiding in the poisonous mist, ordinary martial artists can't do anything to it. The expert who had died in the deepest part of the ancient poison swamp that was infinitely close to the consummate level was actually not poisoned to death, but killed by this giant beast. This matter of yours is a little big. I have to report it. However, I advise you not to lie. Otherwise, if our Grim Reaper's big shot gets angry, the consequences will be very serious. I'm telling you the truth, Luli said with certainty. Then his hand glowed as he took out 100 drops of regular poisonous liquid and 50 drops of the enhanced black and gray poisonous liquid. Handing them to the old man, Luli said, if I am lying, consider this a gift from me. Okay. The old man was relieved. At least, Luli could produce so much poisonous liquid at once. This proved that he did have the ability to condense poisonous liquid. The old man took out a special bottle and put the poisonous liquid in. Then, he asked Luli to wait and went into the inner hall. This time, it didn't take long. In the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, the old man came out. He said, I have sent a message to the headquarters. In a month at most, an important person will come. I will come to you then. Okay. Luli was straightforward. He left with Guanyang. The poisonous liquid was worth hundreds of millions of celestial stones, and he didn't even ask about it. Since the Grim Reaper was so famous, he wouldn't cheat Luli of his poisonous liquid. An assassin's organization valued credibility. Without credibility, who would dare to do business with him? Lord, back at the tavern, Guanyang was worried. Luli waved his hand and said, don't worry too much. You have found out. The Grim Reaper is famous and has a good reputation. Well, what is the ranking of the Grim Reaper in the entire Chaotic Star region? Are they more powerful than the insect race? They're still weaker than the insect race. Guanyang explained, the Grim Reaper doesn't have a powerful warrior at the perfect completion. They're an organization formed by some old demons. Also, any warrior can take on missions. They don't have many core powerful warriors. You know that there are many old demons in the Chaotic Star region. Many of them don't like to occupy territories, but they need a lot of resources for cultivation. The Grim Reaper has given them a platform. Many old demons don't like to be bound by forces. Taking on missions and receiving rewards is suitable for them. I see. Luli understood now. No wonder the Grim Reaper was so powerful. Many old demons in the Chaotic Star region were their backers. Also, the Grim Reaper followed the rules and didn't make trouble. They would provoke powerful warriors they could afford and wouldn't take on missions from those they couldn't. Luli put his mind at ease. He had a chance to move the burden off his mind. As long as he could wipe out the blood race, at least the average Saint Kings wouldn't be able to do anything to him given his stealth skill and skill of transfiguration. He could find a place to cultivate. Soon, a month passed by. The human elder from the Grim Reaper's branch came to Luli and took him to the Grim Reaper's branch. There, Luli met an important man from the headquarters. This big shot wasn't a human, but he looked like one. However, his chi and blood were extremely violent, like a volcano. He looked like a ferocious beast, and his eyes were filled with ferocity. One look, and anyone could tell that he was a supreme expert. He didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Kid, this great one can help you lure away that mutated beast in the ancient poison swamp. We will pay 100 million for a drop of the venom that you have condensed from the poisonous mist. Of course, the prerequisite is that it has the effect that you mentioned. We will take half of the herbs and materials you get. What do you say? Deal. Luli agreed readily. The poisonous fog in the red area was dense. Luli sensed that if he could absorb all of it, he could make dozens of drops of red venom. If the Grim Reaper could buy the venom for 100 million per drop, then he would have billions of celestial stones. He could sell the herbs and materials in there to them as well. Maybe he could make another few 100 million? He hadn't absorbed all of the poisonous fog in the periphery yet. When he did, he could afford 400 to 500 drops of venom. In this way, he might be able to make 5 or 6 billion celestial stones after he absorbed all the poisonous fog in the swamp of ancient poison. By then, he would have to find a way to make it up to 10 billion. The Grim Reaper nodded with satisfaction, seeing that Lu Li was so straightforward. He asked, "When do we go?" "We can go now." Lu Li shrugged. He had nothing to worry about now that he had a super powerful warrior with him. Even if this warrior was not infinitely close to the consummate realm, he wouldn't be far from it. Otherwise, why would he dare to lure away the beast in the swamp of ancient poison? P.S. Chapter 4. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Master. Chapter 31-37. Lu Li did not take the sacred mountain to the Green Tiger region. Instead, he took the battleship belonging to the man named Emperor Yin. Commander Yin of the God of Death's branch went with him as well. Commander Yin was only at the initial stage of the Saint King realm. He went with Emperor Yin to serve as a servant. The battleship was more advanced than the average ones. It was fast, comparable to the middle stage of the Saint King realm. Of course, it was not as fast as the Sacred Mountain. Sovereign Yin swaggered towards the Green Tiger realm on his warship. A war flag was fluttering on the warship, and the word Grim Reaper was written on it. When the nearby warships saw the word fluttering on the war flag, they immediately avoided it like snakes and scorpions flying far away. So ostentatious? Lu Li touched his nose. Shouldn't assassins keep a low profile? How could an assassination be carried out when people knew that assassins were on the move? Did the God of Death usually kill in the open instead of assassinating? But on second thought, Emperor Yin was not here to assassinate, but to distract the beast. It didn't matter if the God of Death was high profile. On the contrary, Emperor Yin could borrow the reputation of the God of Death to reduce some troubles. After flying for 2 months, Lu Li finally arrived at the Green Tiger region. He didn't run into any trouble along the way. The token of the God of Death was useful. None of the warriors dared to get close. Lu Li didn't linger. He took Emperor Yin directly to the swamp of poison. Emperor Yin kept a low profile in the Green Tiger region. After all, if the Green Tiger region knew that Emperor Yin was here, many forces and the Asmodeans would be worried. They would think that the God of Death was here to kill them. When they arrived at the swamp of poison, Lu Li noticed that the toxic fog was getting thicker. It had only been a short time. The poisonous mist was already very thin. "Lord, can you take a rest outside? Let me absorb the toxic fog, and I will call you when we are close to the depth." Lu Li asked Emperor Yin. How could he not absorb the toxic fog when there was so much of it? Emperor Yin was a professional bodyguard outside. Lu Li could absorb the toxic fog in peace. Emperor Yin frowned and asked, "How long?" "A month." Lu Li explained, "If I don't absorb the toxic fog in the periphery, I'm afraid that, okay, go. Crush the jade talisman to let me know." Emperor Yin gave Lu Li a jade talisman and went to a mountain nearby. He took out an interspatial artifact and went to cultivate. Lu Li put away the jade talisman and went into the swamp of ancient poison to absorb the toxic fog. Right now, this poisonous fog wasn't just poisonous fog, but celestial stones. The more he absorbed, the more celestial stones he would earn. Lu Li absorbed the poisonous fog quickly. The poisonous fog here was still different from before. It hadn't recovered completely. It took Lu Li half a month to absorb almost all the poisonous fog in the periphery. After absorbing for another 5 days, the poisonous mist in the middle was also absorbed. Now, only the red, poisonous mist in the deepest part was left. Bang! Lu Li crushed the jade talisman after he rested for half a day. The Yin King flew out from the cave and noticed that the toxic haze outside the swamp of ancient poisons was gone. He looked at Lu Li. This overlord did not lie to him. Lu Li really could absorb the venom and refine it. "Are you ready?" Emperor Yin threw Lu Li a look. After getting confirmation, Emperor Yin flew up to the sky and slapped at the red area. Roar! There came a deafening roar. Following that, a surge of horrifying chi and energy spread out. The roar could be heard from a radius of 3,000 miles. There were a few groups of soldiers passing by nearby. When they heard this roar, they were all so frightened that their bodies trembled. Some of the soldiers' legs even turned to jelly, and they fell to the ground on their butts. Those soldiers looked over and saw a scene that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. A black shadow flew up into the sky, followed by a super huge beast. Though the beast was far away, the horrifying chi and energy still sent chills down their spines. It was as if they were chicks that had seen a swooping eagle. Boom, boom, boom. Emperor Yin and the beast began to fight. But the Yin King retreated at the same time, luring the beast away. Luli saw the beast as well. It was a beast similar to the Lobo beast. Its body was covered with scales that reflected cold light. The huge tail of the Lobo beast almost tore the holy mountain apart. The beast was large in size, and its chi and energy were shocking. Luli felt his soul was trembling. What are you waiting for? Absorb the poisonous fog. Luli heard a voice. He came back to his senses and dashed into the red fog at once. The swirl in the Dharma realm began to absorb quickly. He also wandered around inside and discovered that there were indeed some divine medicines and poisonous materials inside. Some of them were not ripe yet. Luli didn't mind. He collected them all. He counted that there were at least 45 stalks of divine medicine and poisonous materials inside, especially a pool inside. The divine medicine and poisonous materials near the pool were of the highest grade. Boom, 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 boom. Emperor Yin had lured the beast away for dozens of thousands of miles. Still, the noise of explosions never stopped. The central area of the swamp of ancient poison was not large, but the poisonous fog was thick. Luli was excited. There is so much poisonous fog. I can make at least 50 or 60 drops. Luli's cheeks were glowing. 50 or 60 drops will be 5 or 6 billion. In addition to the poisonous fog that he had absorbed outside, the total cost of this trip was estimated to be 8 billion, so the difference was not too big. Punk, are you done? Half a day later, Emperor Yin sent a message. He sounded impatient. Clearly, he was having a hard time dealing with the beast. Emperor Yin could not control the beast, or else he would have killed it. Lord, I'm almost done. Give me 4 more hours. Luli said. He was absorbing as fast as he could. That being said, there was too much poisonous fog for him to absorb it all at once. The poisonous fog must be absorbed into the Dharma realm, but not into the holy mountain. Otherwise, Lady Li and the others would all be poisoned to death. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The disturbance in the swamp of ancient poison had attracted many warriors and scouts nearby. But none of them dared to come closer. They could only observe from a distance. The warriors and scouts were frightened as well. Someone dared to provoke the beast in the swamp of ancient poison? Was this a warrior that was infinitely close to the complete completion? Where is the poisonous fog in the swamp of ancient poison gone? Some martial artists noticed something strange, while others sensed that there seemed to be a martial artist flying around inside the ancient poison swamp. They were shocked. Was this man born with a poisonous body? How dare he fly in the depths of the swamp of ancient poison? Back in the days, a warrior that was infinitely close to the complete completion of the swamp of ancient poison was poisoned to death. Time moved on. Soon, for hours had passed. The toxic haze in the swamp of ancient poison was gone. Many powerful warriors and scouts had found Lu Li. Those warriors and scouts were stunned. Not only did Lu Li dare to walk in the depths of the swamp of ancient poison, he had absorbed all the poisonous fog in the swamp. Whoosh! Lu Li flew out as soon as he was done. The warriors hiding nearby stepped back. They looked at Lu Li as if he were a monster. They were afraid of him as well. If he released some poisonous fog, they wouldn't even know how they died. Chapter 31-38. Lu Li left the Cyan Tiger region at once. This was what he had agreed with Emperor Yin. After Lu Li left, Emperor Yin could get away easily. Lu Li left the Cyan Tiger region and hid in the void. Half a day later, Emperor Yin came out. The beast did not chase after Lu Li. Given its huge size, it would be hard for the beast to come out. Whoosh! Lu Li was still immersed in excitement. He dashed toward Emperor Yin. Emperor Yin was surprised. Emperor Yin was surprised. It looked at Lu Li and asked, "You were hiding there just now?" Lu Li said to himself that he had been too careless. Now that he had been discovered, he cupped his fists and said, "Nothing much. My apologies." Emperor Yin gave Lu Li a meaningful look and said, "If you can teach us that skill, we can help you wipe out the blood race for free." This time, it was Lu Li's turn to be surprised. He did not expect that Emperor Yin would offer such a high price. That skill would be worth 10 billion celestial stones. On second thought, Lu Li understood. As an assassin organization, this kind of stealth skill was very important to them. If they could learn this skill, the success rate of their assassination would be greatly increased. This was a skill that could be passed down from generation to generation. If warriors of the god of death could learn it, their comprehensive abilities would be enhanced. Will this Yin Emperor attack me because of the divine concealment art? Lu Li was a bit worried. He thought of something and said, "I am sorry. This skill is a secret of my sect. My master said that even after I die, I cannot share it." "Sect?" Emperor Yin asked with a frown. "Who is your master?" "My master has been cultivating in seclusion for hundreds of thousands of years. He doesn't like me mentioning his name." Lu Li cupped his fists. Hundreds of thousands of years? Emperor Yin was in deep thoughts. He was not entirely convinced by Lu Li's words. Emperor Yin did not ask any more questions. He took out his battleship and flew away with Lu Li. After flying for an hour, the commander flew up. He must have been monitoring the situation nearby. He had been coming and going like a shadow. "Brother Lu." When Leader Yin came in, he said to Lu Li with a smile, "Congratulations. Where are you going now? No matter where you go, we can escort you there. After you finish refining the toxic liquid, we can trade again." Lu Li took out an interspatial ring and said, "These are the materials I got from the center of the swamp of ancient poison. As promised, I will give you half." "There's no hurry." Commander Yin smiled and said, "The poisonous liquid is the key. How about I send you to the Death God's headquarters, the Heaven Crossing Domain? In terms of safety, you can rest assured. The reputation of the Grim Reaper has been established for hundreds of thousands of years. When you have smelted the highly toxic liquid, we will trade again." "Sure." Lu Li didn't know where to go either. The Reaper organization was famous, so they wouldn't trick him. If he really wanted to, the Yin Emperor could easily kill him or take him down. His combat strength was no different from a child to the Yin Emperor. The Heaven Crossing Domain was not far or close. Lu Li sat on the battleship to rest and cultivate. He monitored the situation in the Dharma realm until the Dharma realm produced the toxic liquid. After flying in the void for more than 3 months, Lu Li arrived at the Heaven Crossing Domain. The headquarters of the Death God was here. This was a well-known fact in the Chaotic Star region. Throughout history, no powerful warriors or major races came to attack the headquarters of the Death God. Even if the headquarters were breached, it wouldn't be a big deal. There were no resources or powerful warriors here. The headquarters of the Death God was just a symbol, a place to contact the Death God. Nobody knew where the real headquarters of the Death God was. The Heaven Crossing Domain was not large, but it was located in the middle of the Chaotic Star region. Maybe the Death God chose this place as their headquarters so that warriors from the Chaotic Star region could come to their headquarters. The headquarters of the Death God was located in a big city. Many warriors lived in the city, and it was a lively place. As soon as Lu Li entered the city, he felt there was a chill in the air. There are many taverns in the city. You can find a place to stay. The Heaven Crossing City is absolutely safe. Commander Yin said to Lu Li confidently. He handed a jade talisman to Lu Li and said, "When you are done, use this jade talisman to go to the headquarters. I will stay there and wait for you." "Okay." Lu Li nodded and checked into a random tavern. If Commander Yin said it was absolutely safe here, then it was. Not even the clan leader of the Chi race would dare to make a move here. As a matter of fact, the toxic liquid had begun to appear in the Dharma realm. More and more toxic liquid would be produced, and it would be finished in 2 or 3 months. Lu Li cultivated in peace while waiting for the poisonous liquid to be condensed. After a month, all the regular poisonous liquid had been condensed. There were more than 400 drops of poisonous liquid in total. The Dharma realm began to produce dark and gray toxic liquid. After another half a month, the dark and gray liquid was finished as well. There were more than 80 drops in total. What excited Luli came. The Dharma realm began to produce red toxic liquid. Hiss, hiss, Luli sensed it and his body trembled. He sensed a horrifying danger from that red drop of venomous liquid. The power of the venomous liquid was at least 100 times stronger than regular ones. Well, if I put on a warrior close to the consummate level, can I kill him? Luli thought. It was a pity that there was no such warrior for him to experiment on. Also, he could not waste the precious toxic liquid. One drop was worth 100 million celestial stones, enough to buy 2 houses in the sacred city. Luli waited, praying to himself that there would be more drops of the red toxic liquid. If there were 100 drops, then he would have enough celestial stones, and he wouldn't have to think of other ways. Half a month later, Luli was disappointed. In the end, only 43 drops of the red toxic liquid came out. He thought he could make 50 or 60 drops. After a few days, making sure that there would be no more toxic liquid in the Dharma realm, Luli left the castle and went to the headquarters of the Grim Reaper. He took out the Jade Talisman and was taken to a small hall. Soon, Commander Yin and Emperor Yin arrived. Another old man came with them, a human being as well. This is our Grand Patriarch Chun. Luli bowed to Commander Yin. He took out most of the venom except for 2 drops of red venom and 10 drops of regular venom. The rest were all taken out. He also took out the elixirs he got from the swamp of ancient poison and said, "You can have half of the elixirs and materials. You can give me a price for the other half. Also, you can do the same for the toxic liquid." "Okay, Grand Patriarch Chun, please do the appraisal." Commander Yin cupped his fists. This Grand Patriarch Chun was here to appraise the elixirs. He was a professional appraiser. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Master. Chapter 31-39. Bitter dung fruit? I can't believe there is such a fruit. It is so rare. I thought it was just a legend. Venomous serpent grass? Good stuff. Well, there's silver blue leaf. Such a treasure is being kept like this. What a waste of resources. Patriarch Chin's eyes glowed as he checked the fruits Luli took out. Luli obtained 40 or 50 herbs from the swamp of ancient poison, and many of them amazed Patriarch Chin. Luli's eyes glowed as well. Patriarch Chun was amazed by many herbs, which meant that they must be treasures of great value. Now, it was time to see the final price. Grand Elder Chin examined for a whole 2 hours. There were still 2 types of godly medicines that he could not identify. He took out a few books to compare and finally finished his appraisal. After the appraisal, Grand Elder Chin started to calculate the price. 1 hour later, he spoke with a serious expression. "Little brother Lu, we will raise the market price by 20% for all of your divine herbs. It is worth a total of 2 billion celestial stones. You and Emperor Yin have agreed that half of the herbs belong to us, the god of death. Therefore, we can pay you 1 billion celestial stones. Of course, if you are not satisfied with the price, you can sell it to other chambers of commerce. You can get a higher price if you go to an auction. That won't be necessary." Luli was satisfied with the price. He waved his hand and said, "Let's go with your price. I have 1 billion celestial stones. Let's do the math for the venom." Patriarch Chun began to appraise. Commander Yin had already appraised the venom. But Patriarch Chun was the appraiser at the headquarters, so he had to take a look. "I will try." Patriarch Chun took out a drop of regular venom and left. After a while, he came back. He checked the black and gray venom and the red venom. He nodded and said, "They are strong. They can ignore defense and attack the body directly. They can corrode life force. This is a very powerful venom. Commander Yin and Emperor Yin have offered a fair price. Let's go with their price. What do you think?" "Sure." Luli did some calculations. The red venom was worth 1 billion, and the black and gray venom was about 1 billion. The regular venom was less than 1 billion. Altogether, it would be 6 billion. Adding the 1 billion from the herbs, it would be 7 billion. Luli was still short of 3 billion. If Luli could sell the halberd of Emperor Yong and the divine chains of order together, then it would be enough. But Luli did not want to do that now. This was because the poisonous liquid was very easy to obtain. As long as he could find a place with poisonous mist, he could easily condense the poisonous liquid. Therefore, it would be a waste to sell the treasure. Emperor Yin could tell that Lu Li was struggling. You want to destroy the blood race? Still lacking some celestial stones? Lu Li nodded. Emperor Yin said with a smile, we can help you with the task first. You can give us the celestial stones you need later. That good? Lu Li raised his eyebrows. The Grim Reaper wasn't a charity, so it was impossible for them to do good deeds. He smiled and said, aren't you afraid that I'll run away and go back on my word? Ha ha ha. Yin Emperor smiled and said, Grim Reaper has existed for so many years, and no martial artist has ever dared to renege on our debt. Moreover, little brother Lu, you also have the ability to return the remaining celestial stones. Our death god will treat you as a friend. And Lu Li thought about it and agreed. Anyone who dared to run away from the Grim Reaper must be tired of living. Lu Li did have the ability to repay the debt. He nodded and said, then you don't have to pay me. I will pay you in advance. Please help me wipe out the blood race. Do not leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Deal. Emperor Yin said with a smile, we will take care of this. It will take some time. I promise that we will kill all the blood race for you. Okay. Lu Li was relieved. The Grim Reaper had never failed before. If it did, they would pay 10 times the price. Patriarch Chun went to make arrangements. Emperor Yin waved his hand to let Commander Yin go. Emperor Yin asked a maid to serve tea and said with a smile, little brother Lu, the Grim Reaper can accept and issue tasks. Are you interested in taking a task? If you can complete this task, your remaining 3 billion celestial stones will be written off. Really? Lu Li was surprised, but he thought that there was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. This Emperor Yin must be trying to get something from Lu Li by lending him billions of celestial stones. Now, the fox had shown its tail. Lu Li asked seriously, what kind of task? Can you tell me more about it? It is a task to explore a place. Emperor Yin said, it is a dangerous place, but you don't have to worry about most of the dangers. You just need to help me get through one level. That level is filled with toxins. The toxins there are similar to the depths of the swamp of ancient poison. You just need to absorb the toxins. For the rest of the time, you don't have to do anything. They will try their best to keep you safe. Lu Li understood now. It must be a place of treasures. The Grim Reaper wanted to use his ability to absorb toxins. Lu Li thought about it and asked, do you have detailed information about this place? I need to know everything about it. Also, my lord, will you go? I cannot go. Emperor Yin shook its head and said, warriors over 5,000 years old cannot go in or it will collapse. That place is a world refined by an absolute expert. This time, we have also accepted a mission. We will send some martial artists in to protect a few important people. They emphasize that they need a martial artist who can resist poison. Although our Grim Reaper has one, he is not as formidable as you. Lu Li was surprised. He asked, you will spend 3 billion celestial stones on this task. What kind of treasures are there? Are they worth the price? I don't mind telling you. Emperor Yin said, they're going to look for the key to the immortal region. I heard that there is one in there. They have offered a high price. We are only here to help them. Understood. Lu Li nodded and said, do you have detailed information? I will see. Lu Li didn't want to take on this task. He only needed to find a place with toxins, and then he could make them. He didn't have to take too many risks. It was dangerous to explore a place of treasures. Even though the Grim Reaper had powerful warriors with him and said that they would guarantee his safety, there was always a chance. Emperor Yin had someone send over a thick stack of information. Lu Li picked it up and browsed through it. Emperor Yin was very generous and gave him most of the information. There was information on the destination of this expedition, as well as a detailed assessment of the dangers of this expedition. This time, the Grim Reaper wasn't going on this expedition by himself. Instead, a superpower had given them the task of sending 50 powerhouses below the age of 5,000 to accompany him. Indeed, it was emphasized that there must be a martial artist who was especially strong in the use of poison. The place they were going to was called the Valley of Great Wilderness, a famous, dangerous place in the Chaotic Star region. Many young Saint Kings had gone in, and only half of them could make it out. But some of the Saint Kings that made it out had gained a lot. Some of them had become much stronger after they made it out. When Luli reached the end of the document, his eyes suddenly narrowed. He carefully read through the document several times, then stopped. He threw the document aside and said, "I can go, but I have one condition. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Master." Chapter 3140. What is it? Emperor Yin asked. This was not their mission. If Luli's demands were too much, the employer would not agree. Pointing to a paragraph on the list, Luli said, "I need the blood of the primordial dragons in the Great Desolation Valley." Luli agreed to go to this place because the information stated that there was blood of the primordial dragons here. It was said that the blood was from a very powerful dragon, and it was near the Pond of Poisons. Luli absorbed the blood of the ancestor dragon in the endless ruins of gods and acquired the dragon transformation. The blood of the primordial dragon might be able to enhance his dragon transformation. Under the dragon transformation, Luli's physical strength was 10 times stronger. If the dragon transformation could be further enhanced, then his physical strength would be enhanced again. For Luli, it was too difficult to improve his abilities. If the dragon transformation could be enhanced, Luli was willing to take the risk. Blood of the primordial dragons? Emperor Yin frowned. He picked up the document and said after a while, "I need to talk to the employer about this. Sit here and wait for my call." Emperor Yin left. Luli sat in the hall and continued to read since he had nothing to do. He waited for over a day. Finally, Emperor Yin came back. He nodded and said, "The employer has agreed, but you must get it yourself. They will not help you. The blood pond of the primordial dragons is dangerous. Think about it. Don't worry. I will not act recklessly if it is too dangerous." Luli nodded. He would not take the risk if he could not do it. "Okay, it is a deal." Emperor Yin pointed to a map and said, "As long as you help them get through this level, you will have completed the task. You don't have to hand over the celestial stones for the task of wiping out the blood race. I will also tell them to try their best to keep you safe. Of course, when you go to get the blood of the primordial dragons, warriors of the god of death will not protect you. That is your own business. If there is no mistake, then sign and make a contract." "No problem." Luli nodded. Emperor Yin had sent someone to deliver the contract. Luli signed it after he read it and made sure there was no mistake. This contract didn't really mean much. If the Grim Reaper wanted to go back on his word, there was nothing Luli could do. If he wanted to go back on his word, it didn't matter if the Grim Reaper wanted to sign a contract or not. The Grim Reaper could just hunt him down and kill him. Luli would definitely die. Take a rest first. You can rest in an inn in the city, or you can ask an XIN to make arrangements. We'll gather and set off in about a month and a half." Emperor Yin said. Luli didn't bother to go to Commander Yin. He went back to the tavern to cultivate and wait for news. The first was to wait for the news of the Grim Reaper annihilating the blood breeds, and the second was to wait for the operation to begin. The blood race had begun to move, but Luli believed that they would not kill their way into the territory of the Chi race. That would be no different from killing in the open. Luli guessed that the Grim Reaper would definitely have a plan. Luli was right. In just half a month, the Chi race issued an announcement, stating that the vampires had offended an important person. From this day on, they would no longer protect the vampires, and the vampires must leave the territory of the Chi race within 10 days, turning hostile and heartless. As soon as the announcement came out, the accumulating element universe was in an uproar. People in the Chaotic Star region were talking about it as well. Not long ago, the Chi race had issued an announcement. Back then, many other races were laughing at the blood race, saying that the once glorious race had fallen to such a state. Now, The vampires were working for the Chi race, and the Chi race didn't even want them anymore. This was a blow to the prestige of the Chi race. After all, they had just issued an announcement not long ago with great momentum. Now, the Chi race was abandoning their little brother. This would affect the reputation of the Chi race. As a matter of fact, the Chi race had run out of options. The Chi race had received a message from a peerless demon. That demon was famous in the Chaotic Star region. His name was Yin Mo. He was a powerful warrior that was very close to the completion of the blood race. He was so famous that many warriors would tremble in fear at the mere mention of his name. The demon said that he wanted to wipe out the blood race, and that he would launch an attack in 3 months. He told the Chi race in advance. If the Chi race continued to protect the blood race, he would not show mercy. After the Chi race received the news, the Chi race clan leader immediately gathered all the elders for a discussion. They had heard a rumor before. Yin Mo was very likely to be one of the 9 powerhouses of the Death God. Yin Mo alone was not scary. What was scary was if the Death God decided to make a move. That would be a huge problem. The Chi race quickly went to find out more information. At last, they spent a lot of money to get confirmation from the insect race. Yin Mo was indeed one of the 9 powerhouses of the Death God. This matter was not about Yin Mo, but the Death God. An employer had spent 10 billion celestial stones to hire them to wipe out the blood race. 10 billion. The Chi race did not expect the blood race to be so valuable. Once the Death God's mission was started, it could not be canceled. Even if the Chi race offered 20 billion celestial stones, the Death God would not cancel it. That would damage the Death God's reputation. What's more, someone who could offer 10 billion celestial stones must be a powerful faction, right? The Chi race clan leader brought a group of elders to meet the race's old ancestor, asking him to make a decision. The Chi race's old ancestor was very unwilling. He finally had a chance to rise again. Now, he was being pressed to the ground by a huge hand. The old ancestor thought for a whole night and finally decided to give up on the blood race. The Death God was too famous. Since the Death God had accepted the mission, he would definitely complete it. Hence, if the Chi race wanted to protect the blood race, they would be attacked by the Death God from all directions. At that time, the Chi race's people would be assassinated one by one. Perhaps his battle strength could fight against the Death God's powerhouse. But what was the point of that? Even if he could kill one of the Death God's powerhouses, so what? Would the Death God retreat? The Death God would definitely not retreat. He would do everything he could to regain his face. The Chi race's people would definitely be assassinated, and the Chi race would be finished. Hence, the Chi race admitted defeat and announced that they were abandoning the blood race. They were given 10 days to leave the Chi race's territory. The blood race panicked. Blood Soul Jade immediately went to see the Chi race's clan leader to ask what was going on. A few days ago, they were still calling each other brothers. Why did they suddenly turn against each other? The Chi race's clan leader did not see Blood Soul Jade. Instead, he sent an elder to see him. That patriarch patted Blood Soul Jade's shoulder with guilt, saying that the blood race had provoked a powerful warrior that they could not afford to offend. Neither could the Chi race. He told the blood race to pray for themselves. Blood Soul Jade was struck by a bolt from the blue. If the Chi race could not afford to offend the blood race, then the blood race would be doomed. Blood Soul Jade begged, but the patriarch said nothing. He only told them to leave in 10 days, or else the Chi race would have to force their way out. Blood Soul Jade had no other choice but to leave with his people. He brought his people to the outside of the insect race's mine. Then, he asked the insect race for protection. The insect race was willing to pay the celestial stones. Last time, they settled their people here as well. However, this time, the insect race refused. Blood Soul Jade went to see the leader of the insect race. The leader did not tell Blood Soul Jade the truth. He only said that the blood race had provoked a powerful enemy, and the insect race didn't want to offend them. Not even the insect race. Blood Soul Jade trembled. What was Lu Li's background? Not even the Chi race and the insect race dared to offend him. Was Lu Li from the Gue race, the most powerful race in the Chaotic Star region? Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Master. Chapter 31:41. The blood race was doomed. That was the consensus of many warriors who received the news. The god of death rarely failed. Unless a warrior at the complete realm said that the blood race would be saved, there was no way out. The blood race was wiped out quickly. The god of death did not send out too many powerful warriors, only 3 Saint Emperors. The 3 Saint Emperors acted at the same time. One of them went after Blood Soul Jade, another went after another Saint Emperor of the blood race, and the last one went after the blood race. The 3 Saint Emperors were professional assassins. One of them made a successful move, and the Saint Emperor of the blood race was killed. The other Saint Emperor made good progress as well. He had a powerful group attack that could wipe out a large number of blood race warriors in one move. There were many blood race warriors, but they were trapped by a formation. None of them could escape. What awaited them was a merciless slaughter. The only one that failed was the Saint Emperor who tried to kill Blood Soul Jade. Blood Soul Jade deserved to be the most powerful warrior of the blood race. He had inherited many powerful skills of the blood race. The Saint Emperor of Death could not defeat Blood Soul Jade, but he managed to escape. The fight lasted for 3 days. Apart from Blood Soul Jade, who escaped, all the other blood race warriors were killed. Blood Soul Jade did not have the chance to hide. He was being hunted down. Given the god of death's abilities, it was only a matter of time before Blood Soul Jade was killed. Of course, these are not the only blood race warriors. There were some survivors out there, and some were on the run. Every branch had their elites out there, and some were in some secret realms as well. For the god of death, the difficulty of the mission was not to kill Blood Soul Jade, but to find all the blood race. Since the god of death had accepted the mission and he had to kill the blood race in the chaotic universe, he must do it. Otherwise, if Luli found some blood race survivors later, the god of death would be humiliated. The god of death was not only good at assassination, but also at intelligence. Without the best intelligence system, how could the god of death arrange the assassination? How could he understand his opponent? What if the intelligence was wrong and the god of death was trying to kill a powerful warrior? That would bring endless trouble to the god of death. After another 10 days, the Blood Soul Jade was killed in a dangerous place in a small world. He wanted to sneak into this dangerous place to avoid being hunted down, but he didn't expect to be discovered in the end. He was killed by the Grim Reaper, a Saint Emperor, and his head was chopped off and brought back. The death of the Blood Soul Jade was tantamount to the extinction of the blood race. Even if there were some survivors, they would not dare to show their faces. Moreover, the Grim Reaper would continue to hunt them down, constantly searching for traces and killing whoever it found. When Luli was about to set off, he had learned that Blood Soul Jade was killed and all the blood race in the accumulation of elements region were slaughtered. The Grim Reaper had sent out many scouts to search for the rest of the Blood Tribe. The entire chaotic starfield was their target. They would try their best to find all the Blood Tribe members and kill them all. Luli was relieved and secretly admired the means of the Grim Reaper. In fact, from Luli's point of view, Reaper was no longer an assassin organization. It was more like a major force that represented the interests of countless old demons. In other words, the Grim Reaper gathered many old demons and gave them the power to contend against the great races. For example, how is this an assassination? They had directly suppressed the Chi tribe and then openly attacked the Blood tribe. What did this have to do with an assassin organization? Luli did not care how the Grim Reaper would deal with him. He just wanted the blood race to be wiped out. He was now on a huge battleship, leaving the heaven-crossing universe and flying toward a universe in the north, the Taiwan region. There were 50 warriors and 30 of them were Saint Kings, all of whom were thousands of years old. They were the elites of the Grim Reaper, the most powerful warriors of the younger generation. Many of them were trained by the Grim Reaper. Of course, some of them were the offspring of some old demons. They were not only going on a mission, but also an experience for them. The other 20 were not Saint Kings, but they were all at the Great Emperor realm. All of them had their own special skills. They were here to help in the exploration. In that kind of dangerous place, one didn't just rely on one's battle prowess. More importantly, one had to rely on all sorts of strange divine abilities. They really are warriors trained by the Grim Reaper. Luli observed the dozens of warriors. They were all cold and taciturn. None of them paid any attention to him. Most of them went to their rooms to cultivate after they boarded the battleship. Only a few gathered together to talk about the mission. Luli was not from the Grim Reaper, and he didn't want to have too much contact with the assassins. He went back to his room to cultivate, keeping a low profile. The Taiwan region was not a short distance away. Even with the fastest battleship, it would take them 3 to 4 months to get there. Luli had to cultivate his body, his soul, study his own Tao, and see if his soul attacks could be improved. Luli's comprehensive abilities were strong, but his foundation was weak, especially when it came to fundamental meaning. But there was nothing he could do. Luli was old, and he rose up from the bottom. He didn't have a big family to support him. He had been fighting and running for his life. Rarely did he have the time to settle down and cultivate. 3 months passed by in a blink. Luli arrived at a huge universe. A voice came to Luli's ears. "We are here. Come on out. Let me emphasize again that you are to help the client get to the last level of the Taiwan Valley. During the mission, you must not have any conflicts with the client. You must follow the orders of Son of Feather, the leader of the team." Luli walked out. Emperor Yin came to Luli once before he set off and emphasized some things to Luli, fearing that Luli would do something rash. After all, Luli was not from the Grim Reaper. Luli was not a man that would go looking for trouble. He was here to carry out a mission and get the blood essence of the primordial dragon. He would not do anything rash for no reason. The leader of the team was a patriarch of the Grim Reaper, Patriarch Luo. He led Luli into the Taiwan region, which was named after the Taiwan Valley. This realm was also a large realm, and it was occupied by 2 large clans. Patriarch Luo led them into the Taiwan region and then flew down to a big city. After dozens of teleportation, they arrived at a city at the west of the Taiwan region. 300,000 miles to the west of the city was the Taiwan Valley, a forbidden area from the ancient times. It was famous even in the chaotic universe region. It was said that the Taiwan region itself was a dangerous place. Then, it was refined by a warrior at the consummate realm, which made it even more dangerous. More than a year ago, a Saint Emperor went in here. When he came out, he was already dead. Among his belongings was a stamp stone. In the stamp stone, there was an image that was suspected to be the key to the immortal region. The Taiwan Valley, which had been quiet for many years, became lively again. The 2 major races of the Taiwan region sent young, powerful warriors in at once. But in the end, only half of them came out. The other half stayed in there forever. They could only go past 8 levels and could not go any further. It was said that the Taiwan Valley had 12 levels. Young warriors of the major races of the Taiwan region had gone in, but they could not get the key. What should they do? Therefore, the 2 races worked together and offered a large sum of money to hire powerful warriors from the Grim Reaper. That was why Luli and the others were here. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Master. Chapter 3142. The warriors of the Grim Reaper were warmly welcomed by the 2 races. They held a welcoming banquet on the same day. Many warriors of the Grim Reaper didn't want to attend, but the patriarch of the team ordered all warriors to attend. This was also a meeting to get to know the young warriors who were going to explore. When they got to know each other, they could fight together in the Great Desolation Valley and overcome difficulties together. The Shadow Race and the Elf Race. They were the 2 most powerful races in the Great Desolation Realm. This city was the territory of the Shadow Race, but the warriors of the Shadow Race had a weak presence. Because the appearance and temperament of the elves were too outstanding, the 5 elves that attended the banquet consisted of 3 men and 2 women. Moreover, the elves had also sent some maids. These elven women became the focus of the audience. The elf race's women all had perfect figures and were very beautiful. Their bodies had a very unique aura that made people feel very charming, making their hearts palpitate. The naughty looks of the elves made Luli feel like he was back in his youth, and he met a pretty girl next door. Everyone present had strong willpower, even though they could take the maids away if they greeted the elf race. None of the warriors of the Grim Reaper did so. Lu Ligung didn't even look at the back. He lowered his head and drank alone. He was very clear about his position. His fighting strength was not enough for the elves. The reason why he could sit here was because he could absorb the poisonous mist. The fairy clan was very strong, even stronger than the Chi clan. They were one of the big clans in the chaotic star fields. The 5 young warriors of the fairy clan didn't even say a word to him. They just nodded politely when they introduced him. The warriors of the shadow race were silent. Only 1 or 2 warriors of the shadow race came out to entertain them. The banquet lasted until midnight. Just when Luli thought it was time to end, a Saint King of the shadow race hurried in. He said with a bitter expression, "Guys, I want to introduce 2 distinguished guests to you. They will go to the Great Desolation Valley with you." The Grim Reaper and Luli didn't react at all. The young warriors of the shadow race and the elf race, however, looked uneasy. To them, the Great Desolation Valley was the private land of the 2 races. The key to the immortal region must belong to them as well. Now, warriors of other races were joining. Rustle, 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 the sound of footsteps could be heard as 2 figures walked in. All the cultivators looked over and their eyes lit up. A woman walked in at the very front. She wore a long golden dress and had a pair of golden wings on her back. She wore a golden crown on her head, and she was tall and slim with long legs. The bridge of his nose and eyebrows were more prominent, so he looked very distinct and had a strong personality. There was a trident symbol between her eyebrows. Her eyes were blue like a vast ocean, and her lips were as red as blood. She was exceptionally beautiful. Queen. When the lady walked in, everyone had the same thought. Luli even had an urge to kneel down and worship her, afraid to look her in the eyes. This woman's temperament was too unique. She was like a blazing sun, the center of the world. Wherever she was, all women would lose their color. She walked in like a proud phoenix, her aura suppressing all the martial artists in the hall, including the elites of the shadow and elf clans. Behind the lady was a man who looked similar to her. They were of the same race, and he also had a domineering aura about him. He was like an emperor with a domineering aura, but he was not as good as the lady in front of him. Lu Li and the others never moved their eyes away from the lady. Even though she was walking slowly, they felt she was walking in heaven. She was a goddess and a queen, untainted by the mortal world, while they were mere mortals. Her aura is strange. Soon, Lu Li understood. He had thought that the lady was using soul attacks, but on closer inspection, he didn't sense any soul energy fluctuation. That could only mean one thing. The lady's aura was strange and special. No, it should be because her race was special. The man behind her was the same. Both the man and the lady had a strong aura that suppressed all the other warriors present. Dun race, a Reaper warrior said. Lu Li was startled and then came to his senses. They were disciples of the Dun race, the most powerful race in the chaotic star region. No wonder they had such an aura. Maybe it was a talent of the Dun race. Come on, guys. Let me introduce you. These 2 are my friends from the Dun race. This is Lady Yuan, and this is young Master Lu. They're the best of the young generation of the Dun race, and also the 2 best talents of the chaotic star region. The young masters and young ladies of the elf race and the shadow race went to greet them. Some young masters of the Reaper race went to greet them as well. Although they had never met her before, they had heard of Miss Yuan's name. Later stage of Saint Emperor. Strong. I think it will be easy for her to reach the perfect realm. If nothing goes wrong, it is not impossible for her to become a powerful warrior at the perfect realm. Lu Li sensed and felt it was infuriating to compare himself with others. This Lady Yuan should be young, about 3,000 years old at most. How could she be at the later stage of Saint Emperor? That was a realm that countless warriors could only look up to for their entire lives. Of the 30 Saint Emperors sent by the Reaper race, most of them were at the early stage of Saint Emperor. Only 3 of them were at the middle stage of Saint Emperor. But compared to this Lady Yuan, they were much weaker. Lady Yuan was cold and arrogant. When a group of elites went to greet her, she only nodded slightly and did not say anything. She waited for a while and walked straight to the main seat. After sitting down, She waved her hand and said, "Everyone, please do not misunderstand. Lu Jia and I are not here to take your treasures. We are also not here to take the key. We are actually here to bring back the remains of an ancestor of our Dun race." The shadow race and the elf race immediately heaved a sigh of relief. The group of young masters and young ladies became more courteous. With two powerful warriors joining them, their trip would be much easier and safer. After Lady Yuan finished speaking, she raised her cup and drank. Then, she stood up and walked out. She completely ignored the people who were talking to her. When she reached the door, she said, "We will depart in 3 days. Everyone, please make your preparations." Lady Yuan and young Master Lu left just like that. The remaining young elites did not feel that Lady Yuan was too overbearing. They were not dissatisfied, because Lady Yuan was the strongest among the young generation of the Dun race. She had the right to be arrogant. The Dun race was the most powerful race in the Chaotic Star region. Just like the Wild race in the Infinite Star region, they were invincible. Back in the day, the Dun race was also a super race at the Fourth Heaven, much more powerful than the Blood race. The Dun race had always been arrogant. As the most powerful among the young generation of the Dun race, if Lady Yuan was not arrogant, they might not be used to it. Please don't let anything go wrong. Lu Li frowned. With the addition of the most powerful young lady of the Dun race, he felt that there would be some changes in this trip to the Great Desolation Valley. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Master. Chapter 3143. 3 days later, they set off. The Grim Reaper's side had 50, the Shadow Tribe and the Elves had 10 each, and the Mastiff had 2, making a total of 72. The Grim Reaper's side was led by a Saint King of the middle stage, Yu Yang. Lu Li followed them quietly and didn't say anything. This time, he only wanted to dispel the poison mist and obtain the primordial divine dragon's blood essence. He didn't want to care about anything else. A group of experts boarded a warship and flew towards the Great Desolation Valley. Unsurprisingly, Lady Yuan became the center of attention on the warship. Not only was this young lady beautiful and elegant, but more importantly, she had amazing combat strength and the title of the Gui clan's #1 young lady. The Gui clan was different from the Desolate clan. The Gui clan could marry outsiders. The reason why the Gui clan was the largest clan in the Chaotic Star Fields was not only because of the Gui clan's strength, but also because they had allied with many other large clans. Many of the Gui clan's women had married outsiders, and they had also married women from other clans. However, the women from other races that the Gui clan married would not be the official wife, nor would they have children. This was to ensure the purity of the Gui clan's bloodline. Most of the Gui race's women were like this. Of course, if they were married to a small race, they might treat the Gui race's young ladies as treasures because they cherished the Gui race's bloodline. He didn't know if young Lady Yuan could marry outside. If she could, then forget about the Shadow Clan and the Elf Clan. Even the Grim Reaper experts would be happy to marry her. After all, marrying Miss Yuan was equivalent to marrying a powerhouse of the Great Perfection Realm. In fact, it might even be a powerhouse of the Great Perfection Realm. Therefore, the possibility of Miss Yuan marrying out was very small. However, as long as there was a tiny bit of hope, it was enough to make these young masters fantasize and start to pursue Miss Yuan crazily. Lu Li hid in the cabin and didn't come out. He didn't come out until they arrived at the Great Desolation Valley, and Yu Yang sent him a message. When Lu Li came out, he saw a huge valley in front of him. The valley was magnificent. There were 2 mountains on the left and right, like 2 huge palace walls. From here, the entrance to the valley looked like a huge palace gate. There was a faint yellow mist in the valley, making it look like a dream. Good luck, everyone. The elder of the Shadow Tribe, the Elf Tribe, and the elder of the Grim Reaper Tribe began to exhort them again. Lady Yuan and young Master Lu did not have any powerhouses to protect them. No powerhouses would dare to assassinate the most outstanding ladies of the Gui clan, unless they were tired of living. Young Lady Yuan took the lead and quickly entered the valley. This valley originally had a divine inscription array, but it had long been cleared by the City clan and the Shadow clan. Inside the mountain valley, there was a grand hall. This grand hall was completely black. The Fairy clan and Shadow clan martial artists led the way into the grand hall. This grand hall was empty except for a single statue. It was a statue of an expert. Behind the statue was a dark cave entrance. This cave entrance should lead to the real Great Desolate Valley. The Shadow clan and the Elf clan each had a young master leading the way. They had been here before and knew where the dangers were and where the shortcuts were. A group of martial artists entered the cave. The cave extended downwards. The cave was very flat. It should have been repaired. The deeper they went, a desolate aura came from the depths of the cave. It was as if the bottom of the cave had experienced countless years. In reality, the Great Desolation Valley had existed for millions of years. At the very beginning, the world above the fourth layer of heaven had not yet collapsed. At that time, the Great Desolation Valley was inhabited by an ancient clan. Later on, powerful warriors of the fourth layer of heaven came down. The Great Desolation Valley was conquered and the clan here was wiped out. They went on for more than 3,000 miles before they arrived at a super large underground plaza. The plaza had a radius of more than 3,000 miles. There were many rooms around. The rooms had been repaired. Clearly, there were signs that some races had once lived here. The warriors of the Fairy clan and the Shadow clan did not stop. They led the way to the left of the underground plaza. There should be no divine inscription array here. The warriors of the Shadow clan and the Elf clan moved forward quickly. Soon, they arrived at a tunnel. The group of powerful warriors did not stop. They hurried on. Since the Shadow clan and the Elf clan had explored the first 8 levels, they did not care about the first few levels. There should be no more treasures in the first few levels. They must have been taken away by the 2 races. The tunnel extended downwards. This time, they arrived at the second underground plaza in just over 3 miles. This plaza was much smaller. There were not many rooms here. There were only a few branch halls. All the doors were open. Clearly, the treasures inside had been taken away. There were some divine inscription arrays here. Luli could sense it because there were signs of the divine inscription being broken in many places. They moved on. Soon, they reached the 3rd level. This was no longer an underground plaza. It was a magma pond. The pond was not big. The boiling magma was squirming, sending out heat. The young master of the Fairy clan stood by the pond and explained, "Guys, there are divine inscription arrays here. We cannot fly, or else we will be pressed down by the strong gravity. We have to stick close to the magma. Do not move when the magma is moving. Otherwise, we will trigger the divine inscription under the magma. By then, we will be pressed down by the strong gravity." Lady Yuan snorted and said, "Do you think the magma can burn us to death?" "We don't know if it can burn Lady Yuan to death or not," the young master of the Shadow clan said. "But our 2 races have lost 10 warriors here. 3 of them were Saint Kings." Many powerful warriors looked at each other, speechless. Even some powerful warriors of the Grim Reaper were staring at the magma pond with a frown. The magma here seemed to be normal. How could it burn Saint Kings to death? A lady of the Fairy clan, Gusu, the prettiest of the Fairy clan, said, "The surface of the magma looks normal. However, the deeper we go, the hotter it gets. The magma pond is tens of thousands of miles deep. If we are pressed down to the bottom, we will not be able to stand it." The group of experts didn't dare to be careless. The Fairy clan and the Shadow clan led the way. Their figures were like swallows, lightly floating over the magma, slowly drifting forward. Buzzing, all of a sudden, the magma pond began to tremble. The powerful warriors in the magma pond did not dare to move. They all stood on the surface of the magma pond. They waited for an hour. The magma subsided. The warriors in the pond began to move. This time, they moved forward quickly. In the time for a few breaths, they had crossed the magma pond and stood on the other side. The warriors at the back all understood. They all flew towards the magma pond. The gravity on the surface of the magma pond was not heavy. All the warriors could withstand it. Halfway there, the magma started to surge. All the warriors did not dare to move. They just stood on a magma pond. After the magma subsided, all the warriors immediately flew over and landed on the other side of the magma pond. The Shadow Clan and the Fairy Clan's formidable martial artists continued to move forward. Soon, they reached the 4th level. This level was a natural moat. They had to go down a small path in the moat. Then, they had to cross the moat and go up the path on the other side. These two paths had divine pattern spirit arrays. They were very powerful divine pattern spirit arrays. However, they had already been broken by the two races. Let's go. Let's go to the 8th level in one go first. Lady Yuan waved her hand like a queen. It was as if she was the leader of this small team. The group of formidable martial artists did not have any thoughts of resting. They all wanted to go to the 8th level first. Chapter 31:44. Half a day. In just half a day, the powerful warriors had reached the 8th level. Of course, it was because the elves in the Shadow Race had reached the 8th level before. The obstacles and the dangerous areas had been explored or solved. Otherwise, they would not have been able to move so smoothly. The 8th floor was a huge cave. The inside of the cave was completely shrouded in black fog. This black fog was naturally poisonous and extremely terrifying. The Fairy Race and the Shadow Race stopped here because 4 of their Saint Emperors had gone in and none of them had returned. Here, warriors of the Elves and the Shadow Race looked at Lu Li. The patriarch of the team of the God of Death had told them that Lu Li was a master of poisons and specialized in dispelling the poisonous fog. Gusu cupped his fist to Lu Li and said, "Young Master Lu, we will have to trouble you." The warriors of the God of Death looked at Lu Li as well. For the first time, Lady Yuan and young Master Lu looked at Lu Li in the eye. Lu Li did not change into a race. He was a human again, but he disguised his face to look like an average young man. Cupping his fists, Lu Li said, "Please take a rest. I will have a look first." Lu Li ignored the warriors' looks and arrived at the entrance of the cave. He was not worried about the poisonous fog. It was because reality proved that no matter how poisonous the poison mist was, it could not kill him. He could easily absorb the poison mist into the spell realm. What he wanted to do was to see if there were other dangers in the cave. Also, he wanted to know where the blood essence of the primordial dragon was and if there were any traps nearby. According to the intelligence of the elves and the Shadow Race, the blood essence of the primordial dragon was in a corner of the cave, a large pond. But the powerful warriors of the two races did not have the chance to collect it. All the Saint Emperors in the cave were poisoned to death. Only one escaped, but he died after an hour. Therefore, the two races could not move on without absorbing or dispelling the poisonous fog. This was only the 8th level. The next 4 levels would be more dangerous. That was why the two races thought of the God of Death and invited Lu Li over at a great cost. "I cannot use psychic power." Lu Li used psychic power, but it was blocked by the poisonous fog. He had to use the trace of Tao to sense the situation. He closed his eyes and sat with his legs crossed. Everything around him emerged in his mind. What? A cold light flashed in Lady Yuan's eyes. Young Master Lu, some Saint Emperors of the Death God, and a few experts of the Shadow Clan and the Elf Clan all sensed it at this moment. They all felt as if they were being watched, as if there was a monster hiding somewhere nearby, spying on them without making a sound. "Don't be nervous." Lady Yuan waved her hand. She gave Lu Li a meaningful look and said, "Your Grim Reaper, this human has some skills." The powerful warriors looked at Lu Li and felt relieved. Lu Li must have used some kind of skill to check. Since there was no soul energy fluctuation, they could not sense psychic power, which was why they had such a strange feeling. Lu Li did not pay attention to them. He continued to sense the situation inside. At the same time, Blood Fairy snuck out from his body to check. Lady Yuan and the other powerful warriors sensed it. They gave Lu Li another meaningful look, but didn't pay much attention. This time, of the 50 warriors sent by the Grim Reaper, apart from 30 Saint Emperors, the other 20 had their own special abilities. It was not surprising that Lu Li had some tricks up his sleeves. Lu Li was a warrior of the Great Emperor realm. For Lady Yuan and the others, he was a nobody. Even if he had some tricks up his sleeves, it was not worth mentioning. For the real powerful warriors, combat abilities were the most important thing. Those strange skills were just unorthodox skills, not the way to go. Luli spent an hour trying to sense the surroundings. More importantly, it was Blood Fairy who was doing it. Blood Fairy said, "Master, there are divine glyphs in this cave. The toxic fog is created by divine glyphs. There's a small black pond on the right where the toxic fog comes from. There's another pond on the left, but it is filled with blood. There are divine glyphs on the pond. Right, there are some miraculous herbs in the pond of blood and the pond on the right." Luli nodded and asked, "Are the divine glyphs here powerful? Are there other dangers apart from the divine glyphs?" "Yes," Blood Fairy replied. "In the pond on the right, there are 3 creatures that look like flood dragons. They must be born from the pond. I don't know their specific abilities, but they must be horrifying." "I see." Luli had an idea. He said, "Can we absorb the essence blood in the blood pond first? Is the divine glyphs dangerous over there?" "Yes, but I can solve it. It will take me half a month." Blood Fairy gave a definite answer. Luli ordered, "Then go and solve it. Look at the essence blood first." What was Luli doing here? He was not only here to complete his mission, but more importantly, to get the blood of the Archean dragons. Now that he had the chance to get the blood, he would do it first. Since Blood Fairy had gone to solve the formation, Luli had nothing to do. He closed his eyes and sat with his legs crossed, pretending to be checking. Otherwise, the powerful warriors behind him would have a problem with him sitting there. Soon, 3 days passed. The powerful warriors were losing their patience since Luli had been sitting there without doing anything. That Miss Yuan said directly, "Are you sure you can do it? If not, don't waste your time here." Luli opened his eyes and said with a smile, "Lady Yuan, don't worry. The toxic fog here is strong. I need some time. I will clean it up in half a month." "Half a month?" Lady Yuan pulled a long face. She thought about it and said to the powerful warriors, "I don't believe that the toxic fog is that strong. I will go in and have a try." "Calm down, Sister Yuan. Don't be reckless." Young Master Lu was scared. Lady Yuan was the hope of the Gue race. If something were to happen to her, he would not know how to answer to his family. If the toxic fog could kill 3 Saint Emperors, then it could kill Lady Yuan as well. "What are you panicking about?" Lady Yuan took out a green bead and said, "I have a wood bead. It can cure all kinds of poisons." "I don't believe it. I will go in and have a look." Whoosh! Lady Yuan dashed in. Young Master Lu could not stop her even if he wanted to. Young Master Lu and the disciples of the Shadow Race were worried. If Lady Yuan were to die here, they would be implicated as well. Gusu turned to Lu Li and said, "Young Master Lu, think of a way. Nothing can happen to Lady Yuan." Lu Li did not move. He said indifferently, "I have not fully understood the toxic fog. I cannot go in now, or I will lose my life. Lady Yuan is protected by some treasures. I think she will be fine." Compared to Lady Yuan's identity, status, and power, Lu Li was a chicken and Lady Yuan a phoenix. Lu Li, of course, would not kiss the cold shoulder when Lady Yuan looked down on him. Moreover, they and the Death God's martial artists were here to protect the Fairy Clan and the Shadow Clan. Young Lady Yuan and young Master Lu were not within their protection range. Didn't they see that the Death God's group of martial artists were indifferent? Since Lady Yuan wanted to act tough, then let her. She would be a fool if something happened. To be able to see this kind of golden branch and jade leaf being humiliated, it was also a very pleasing thing. P.S. I have something to deal with. Only 2 chapters today. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Master. Chapter 3145. Gu Su and the others were anxious. They could not use psychic power, and Lu Li had a good reason. They could not force Lu Li to go in. Therefore, the powerful warriors had to wait outside anxiously. Lu Li tried to sense what was going on inside. Lady Yuan's artifact was good. She had been in there for a while and didn't seem to be harmed. Can her bead really stand it? Lu Li wondered. The Duan race was the most powerful race in the Chaotic Star region. They must have many treasures. They might have something that could cure all kinds of poisons. Gu Su and the others waited for a while. They were relieved to see that Lady Yuan didn't cry out. But after a while, there came a shout from inside. Then a black shadow flew out. Who else could it be other than Lady Yuan? Young Master Lu went over and asked with concern, "Sister Yuan, are you okay? Are you poisoned?" Gu Su and the others looked at young Lady Yuan, and when they saw that there were traces of reddish-brown bloodlines on her pretty face, their expressions became extremely unsightly. An elf young master yelled, "Oh no, Brother Guang was like this when he came out. Lady Yuan is poisoned as well. I don't think she's going to make it." Gu Su trembled. A powerful warrior of the elf race came out, but he was poisoned to death not long after. He was poisoned in the same way as Lady Yuan. But Lady Yuan was in a better state. She wasn't as badly poisoned. When Miss Yuan heard their narration, her pretty face turned extremely grim. Her lips trembled as she said, "I can feel that my life force is being devoured. The poisonous mist has silently infiltrated my flesh and bone marrow. At first, I thought that I was fine, but now I've lost my life force. Brother Lu, help me, help me." Lady Yuan was no longer as arrogant as before. There was a glint of fear in her eyes. She and Lady Li were both spoiled young ladies. Neither of them had been through any hardships. Now that she felt she was going to die, she panicked. Young Master Lu was panicking as well. He forced himself to calm down and said, "Don't worry, Sister Yuan. I will take you out now. We'll go back to our race as fast as we can and ask our forefathers to save you." "It is too late." Gu Su shook her head and said, "When our brother Guang came out, we wanted to take him back as well. But he died in less than an hour." "1 hour?" Young Master Lu was completely flustered. They had entered the 8th level, and it had taken them half a day to get in. Wouldn't it take 4 hours to get out at the fastest speed? By that time, Miss Yuan would have already become a corpse. "What should we do? What should we do?" Young Master Lu was anxious, and Gu Su and the others were also at a loss. If young Lady Yuan died here, the City Tribe and the Shadow Tribe would definitely be implicated. When the Gue Tribe was enraged, who knew what would happen? "All right." Gu Su turned to Lu Li and said, "Young Master Lu, aren't you a master of poisons? Is there any way to cure Miss Yuan of the poison?" Swish, 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 a group of warriors turned to Lu Li. Seeing that Lu Li was still sitting there, young Master Lu shouted angrily, "What are you doing sitting there? Aren't you going to detoxify me?" Lu Li squinted and his expressions grew cold as well. He said coldly, "If you cannot solve it, figure it out yourself." He was hired by the Grim Reaper to dispel the poisonous fog. The Grim Reaper was also hired by the Shadow Tribe and the City Tribe. What did the Gue Tribe's life have to do with him? If they were nice, Lu Li could help. But young Master Lu and Lady Yuan were behaving like this. How could he humiliate himself? "What is this?" Young Master Lu was already anxious. He took out a sword and said, "I will kill you." Young Master Lu was from the Gue Tribe, the most powerful race in the Chaotic Star region. Wherever he went, people would flatter him. Who dared to be rude to him? How could he not be angry when Lu Li, a warrior of the Emperor realm, treated him like this? Yu Yang and the other 4 came to Lu Li. Yu Yang looked at young Master Lu emotionlessly and said, "Young Master Lu, are you going to do something to our Grim Reaper?" It was true that the Gue Tribe was the most powerful race, but the Grim Reaper was also the most powerful assassin organization. The Grim Reaper was not as powerful as the Gue Tribe, but they had their pride. Emperor Yin had told them to protect Lu Li at all costs. Young Master Lu and Lady Yuan were not their employers, so they didn't have to be so polite. Seeing that the situation was getting messy, Gu Su tried to smooth things over and said, "It's okay. Young Master Lu is too concerned, and he has a bad temper. We're all on the same side. Let's not hurt each other." Gu Su then said to young Master Lu in a soft voice, "Young Master Lu, the most important thing now is to save Lady Yuan. We cannot lose the greater good for the greater good." Young Master Lu snorted. He put away his sword and walked over to Lady Yuan. Gu Su walked over to Lu Li, bowed, and said, "Young Master Lu, if you can save Lady Yuan, please do it. Our two races will reward you handsomely. Gusu had no other choice. Her only hope was on Lu Li. Young Master Lu, on the other hand, didn't trust Lu Li's ability. He took out all kinds of elixirs and fed them to Lady Yuan. Lady Yuan also activated the green bead in her hand, hoping that the bead could expel the toxins from her body. Lu Li's eyes flickered, but he still said nothing. Gusu looked to Yu Yang for help. Yu Yang was the leader of the team. How could Lu Li not do something when he said so? After a moment of hesitation, Yu Yang said to Lu Li, "Brother Lu, if you can help, do it." Lu Li paused for a moment, looked at Lady Yuan, and said, "The poisoned one hasn't said anything. How can I be sure that she needs help? What if she can do it herself?" Buzzing, warriors of the elf race and the shadow race's eyes glowed. Did Lu Li mean that he could do it? Lady Yuan heard Lu Li's words as well. Her eyes glowed. She looked at Lu Li and said, "If you can do it, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and detoxify me." Young Master Lu had fed her more than a dozen top-level elixirs. She was also activating the bead, but it didn't help much. All she could do was delay the spread of the toxins. She could clearly feel that her source of life was disappearing bit by bit. She was getting closer and closer to death. Lu Li didn't go over. Instead, he said coldly, "First of all, I'm not your subordinate, and I'm not hired by you. I have no obligation to help you. Second, is this how the Duan race acts when asking for help? Third, there is a price to pay for my help. Without a satisfactory price, I will not do it." Lady Yuan's attitude upset Lu Li. She acted as if Lu Li was her servant, and she could order him around. Lu Li was a proud man. Now that Lady Yuan was asking him for help, she was being so bossy. He was not a dog that would go over and lick her after she kicked him. Ew. Lady Yuan was enraged. She frowned. When had she ever been bullied like this? A warrior of the Emperor realm dared to treat her like this? How dare he speak like this? You have guts. Many warriors of the Grim Reaper put on a smile. Lu Li was not one of the Grim Reaper's men. However, he went on a mission with them and dared to challenge the most powerful lady of the Duan race. This changed their impression of Lu Li. Chapter 3146. If it were not for the fact that Lady Yuan's life was in danger, young Master Lu believed that he would have killed Lu Li by now. He didn't care if he was the Grim Reaper or not. In the eyes of the Hui tribe, there was no clan or faction in the Chaotic Star territory that they could not afford to offend. If anyone dared to be rude to them and Lady Yuan, even a Saint King would have to die, let alone a sovereign realm. Lady Yuan was also furious, but the situation was stronger than she was. The life force in her body was depleting quickly, and if she did not think of a solution, she would become a corpse and bid farewell to this world forever. She took 2 deep breaths, forced herself to calm down, and said, "What do you want? Name your conditions. As long as you can save my life, anything is negotiable." Gusu also hurriedly said, "Young Master Lu, please state your price. We will naturally agree to it." Lu Li hesitated. As a matter of fact, he didn't know what price to offer. It was just that Lady Yuan's attitude was so bad that he didn't want to do it. He paused for a moment and said, "I will not state the price. Young Lady Yuan, how many celestial stones do you think your life is worth? How many celestial stones do you want then?" Young Lady Yuan, young Master Lu, Gusu, and the others had a slight change in expression. Could young Lady Yuan be measured with celestial stones? This was a priceless treasure. Putting aside her identity as the #1 young mistress of the Gue race, just based on young Mistress Yuan's innate talent and current combat strength, how many celestial stones would a martial expert who might become a consummate in the future be worth? It was impossible to estimate. Wasn't Lu Li asking too much? If it was calculated according to celestial stones, then even 1,000,000,000,000 celestial stones wouldn't be comparable to young Lady Yuan's life, right? Was Lu Li asking for 1,000,000,000,000 celestial stones? The elf race and the shadow race couldn't afford it. Even the Gue race wouldn't be willing to fork out so many celestial stones, right? Gusu thought about it and said in a low voice, "Young Master Lu, how about this? If you save young Lady Yuan's life, our elf race and shadow race will give you 10 billion celestial stones as a reward. How about it? 10 billion? Luli was taken aback. The elf race and the shadow race were rich. They could easily offer 10 billion. It was a known fact that he had only spent 10 billion celestial stones to hire the death god to exterminate the blood race. Right now, he had earned 10 billion celestial stones just by helping one person to detoxify the poison. Sure, Luli nodded and said, but the heaven stone cannot be paid by your two races, right? Shouldn't Miss Yuan be the one paying for it? I just saved her life. I'll go. Lady Yuan clenched her teeth and said, but I don't have that many with me. I'll send a disciple of my clan to send them to you later. Okay. Luli nodded lightly and said, words are no proof. Write a contract. Lady Yuan was so angry that her body was shaking. She was the first lady of the Gue clan and the first lady of the Chaotic Star area. Would she go back on her word? Her life mattered. Lady Yuan didn't want to waste any more time with Luli. She took out a piece of paper and a pen, quickly wrote down some words and her name, and threw it to Luli. Very good. Your handwriting is very beautiful. Luli took a closer look and nodded. Then he walked over to Lady Yuan, took out the separation bead, and said, I will put you into my interspatial artifact. Do not resist. Why do we need to enter a spatial god artifact? Do it here. Young Master Lu was nervous, fearing that Luli would play some tricks. I'm a monarch while Miss Yuan is a late Saint King. Are you still afraid of me assassinating her? Luli rolled his eyes and explained, my method of detoxification is special. It is not convenient to do it here. Lady Yuan, are you afraid? Of course, Lady Yuan was not afraid. Luli was only a monarch realm warrior, and she could kill him easily. She nodded. At that moment, Yu Yang said to Luli, Brother Lu, be careful. Lady Yuan might kill you after she detoxifies you. Brother Yu, don't worry. I will be careful. Luli said to Yu Yang, and then put Lady Yuan into the separation bead. Pointing to a stone bed in the corner, Luli said, Lady Yuan, lie down on the bed. Why on the bed? Lady Yuan's eyes were filled with anger. She looked at Luli with alertness. Her eyes were filled with hostility. Luli said calmly, my method of detoxification is special. I need to suck it out from your body with my hands. Clearly, the poison has spread throughout your body. So, a glint of killing intent rose in Lady Yuan's eyes. Her hair stood on end like a startled beast. She asked, You mean you want to sweep your hands over my body? That is the only way. Luli shrugged and said, In the eyes of a healer, there is no difference between a man and a woman. If you are afraid that I will take advantage of you, I will not do it. It was not that Luli wanted to take advantage of her. It was just that this was the only way he knew. Apart from using the realm of magic to absorb the poison, he really had no other way. In order to absorb the poison, he had to get his hands on Lady Yuan's skin. No. Lady Yuan shouted. Her pretty face turned ghastly pale. Who was she? She had never been touched by a man from the outside, let alone being touched by a man all over her body. Her reputation would be ruined if word got out. As the first young lady, she was very proud. How could she be humiliated like this? At this moment, she finally understood why Luli wanted to go into the interspatial artifact. He didn't want others to know. Luli shrugged and said, Think about it yourself. Also, let me remind you, don't burn the bridge after crossing it. You are my interspatial artifact. Before I die, I will make the interspatial artifact explode. Of course, if you can survive the twisting force of space, you can have a try. With that said, Luli sat down with his legs crossed, waiting for Lady Yuan's decision. Lady Yuan was in a dilemma. What Luli said at the end gave her a headache. She didn't want to kill Luli. If she could kill Luli after the poison was removed, then nobody would know about it, and her reputation could be preserved. She was in Luli's interspatial artifact. If Luli really made the interspatial artifact explode, she would not be able to survive it. She was getting weaker and weaker. Time passed slowly. With every breath that passed, Miss Yuan would grow weaker, and the life force in her body was continuously draining away. She felt death was approaching her step by step. This was not the death god that Yu Yang and the others knew, but the real one. After waiting for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the fear of death and the desire to live filled her. She closed her eyes and said with humiliation, "Come, help me cure the poison." With that said, she turned off her senses and turned a blind eye, letting Lu Li do whatever he wanted. Lu Li walked over to Lady Yuan. He put his hand on her head first. Lady Yuan trembled. It meant that she seemed to have closed off her senses, but she was actually checking on him secretly. Lu Li operated the swirl in his magic realm and began to absorb the poisonous fog. It was not difficult at all. In a moment, all the poisonous fog in her head was absorbed. Lu Li moved his hand to her neck. Lady Yuan's body trembled even more. She clenched her fists tightly. Killing intent spread out from her. It seemed she could release a powerful move at any time and kill Lu Li. "I advise you to be kind." Lu Li glanced at him and said, "If you kill me, you will die as well. Unless you want to die with me. Otherwise, just lie there quietly." Chapter 31:47. Lady Yuan behaved herself. Her instinct to survive forced her to let Lu Li touch her body. But this time, Lu Li restrained himself. He didn't treat Lady Yuan as he did to Lady Li. Lady Yuan was not someone she could mess with. He was in the Chaotic Star region now. If he went too far, then he would have to run for his life. Lady Yuan finally stopped trembling after all the toxins were removed from her body. Her expressions began to change, and her expressions were changing. Killing intent was faintly discernible. She seemed to be debating whether she should kill Lu Li or not. Buzzing, after a while, she seemed to have made up her mind. She jumped up and rushed towards Lu Li like a beast. She had a green long sword in her hand. The long sword carried with it a domineering and murderous chi and energy. She stabbed at Lu Li's head. Lu Li sat on the ground with his legs crossed. He didn't move, but there was a glint of source energy in his hand. There was a drop of red liquid in it. As soon as the liquid came out, Lady Yuan sensed fatal danger as if she had seen a dreadful beast. Retreat. Out of instinct, Lady Yuan gave up on attacking and stepped back. Lu Li sneered. He stood up, walked toward Lady Yuan step by step, and shouted, "Biting the hand that feeds you. Is this how the elders of your Guam race taught you to behave? Do you really think you are so great when you are at the later stage of Saint Emperor Realm? I have killed more than 10 Saint Emperor Realm warriors. Do you really think I don't have the guts to kill you?" Lady Yuan was weak to begin with. Her pale face was even paler now. Lu Li had come out from mountains of blades and seas of fire. The murderous intent around him was quite strong. At the moment, he was holding the red venom in his hand and moving closer step by step. He was like a god of death, making Lady Yuan feel pressured. I am not." Lady Yuan wanted to say something, but Lu Li interrupted her angrily. "You Guam race are strong indeed, but even a rabbit will bite when it is cornered. I'm not on your side. If worst comes to worst, I will kill you and leave the Chaotic Star region. This is your first time, and I will spare your life. But if there's a next time, I will destroy your soul. Do you understand?" Lu Li used Dragon Roar to shout the last word. It was like a clap of thunder on a sunny day. Lady Yuan trembled, and her lips trembled. She almost fell to the ground. Buzzing, Lu Li put the liquid back into his Dharma realm. The heaven separation bead glowed, and he and Lady Yuan came out. Lady Yuan was taken aback again. She looked around with confusion and fear. "Sister Yuan." Young Master Lu hurried over. Seeing Lady Yuan holding a weapon in her hand, Lu Li asked anxiously, "Lady Yuan, Sister Yuan, did this thief bully you?" Lu Li put his hands behind his back and said with a gentle smile, "How is that possible? How can I, an Emperor Realm warrior, do that?" "Miss Yuan wanted to thank me with a treasured sword because I saved her life. Lady Yuan, I appreciate your kindness, but please put your sword away." "That's right. A gentleman doesn't snatch other people's beauty." Lady Yuan finally came to her senses at this moment. Her eyes flickered. Seeing that Yu Yang and the others had walked over to Lu Li, she knew that there was no chance to kill Lu Li. She didn't have the courage to attack Lu Li anymore. She was weak and could barely fight anymore. She put away her sword, embarrassed. She forced a smile and said, "Young Master Lu, you are so skillful. The poison in me has been removed. I do want to thank him with a sword." She didn't want anyone to know what happened in the heaven separation bead. Otherwise, her reputation would be ruined. She had to play along with Lu Li. Gu Su and the others looked at each other in disbelief. Gu Su and the other girls were especially attentive. They noticed that young Lady Yuan's long dress was slightly wrinkled. When they thought of the situation just now, Gu Su and the other girls were slightly shocked. The death god, this emperor rank, was actually so daring? How dare he offend Lady Yuan? Ha ha ha. Lu Li laughed. He waved his hand and said, "Lady Yuan, you have promised me 10 billion celestial stones. How can I ask for more from you? If you really want to thank me, then bow to me and we will call it a day." Bow to me? The anger that Miss Yuan had suppressed immediately flared up again. Her eyes turned slightly red, and she almost cried. Lu Li had gone too far. He wanted her to bow to him? What? You don't like it? Lu Li raised his eyebrows and said, "If you don't like it, then so be it. I will not say anything about this. I am a person who gives favors to others, and I never like to make it public." PFF, Lady Yuan spat to herself. She was even angrier. Lu Li was threatening her. If she didn't listen, he would make it public. This was a blatant threat. She bit her teeth and said, "Thank you, young Master Lu, for saving my life. I will never forget it." Ha ha ha, you're welcome. Lu Li laughed. He turned around and walked to the entrance of the cave. Then, he sat there pretending to check on the situation inside. Lady Yuan glared at Lu Li with hatred. Then she took out her interspatial artifact and went in. The other warriors looked at each other, speechless. Impressive. Yu Yang and a few other death god assassins looked at each other and revealed a faint smile. As death god assassins, they were very observant. They saw what Gu Su and the others saw as well. They even had some speculations. Once again, they were impressed by Lu Li. He got 10 billion celestial stones and took advantage of the number one young lady of the Duan race. He even forced her to bow to him. He had to swallow his pride. More importantly, she was a young lady with an illustrious identity and powerful strength. On the other hand, Lu Li was only a warrior of the Emperor realm. The difference was so great that they had to admire him. When this is over, I will find a place to hide for a few years. Lu Li began to think to himself. This Lady Yuan must be the kind of person who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. His existence would make Lady Yuan restless. Her reputation could be ruined at any time. Therefore, only when he was dead would Lady Yuan feel at ease. Should I leave early after I solve this poisonous fog? Another idea came to Lu Li's mind. But without the protection of Yu Yang and the others, would Lady Yuan ask powerful warriors of the Elven race and the Shadow race to hunt him down? I shouldn't have saved her. Lu Li was a bit regretful. He didn't save a life, but trouble. He shook his head. He would cross the bridge when he came to it. He would think about it when the time came. Time flew by. Lady Yuan never came out after she went in. Soon, 10 days passed by. Blood Fairy said, "Master, the patterns in the blood pond have been solved. You can come and collect the essence blood at any time." Okay. Lu Li stood up in delight. He said to the warriors behind him, "I am almost done. I will start to solve the problem now. There are 3 beasts in there. I will lure them out later. You guys, get ready to kill them." Yu Yang and the others nodded. They were ready to fight. Gu Su cupped her fists and said, "Young Master Lu, go ahead. We will try our best." "Thank you, young Master Lu." "Lady Gu Su, you are so understanding. I will go now." Lu Li smiled. He turned around and walked into the cave in strides. Soon, he was swallowed up by the poisonous fog. P.S. Due to some trifling matters at the end of the year, I will write yesterday's chapter later. Chapter 3148. It was easy to absorb the toxic fog. Since Lady Yuan could absorb the toxins in her body, then the toxins in the cave should be easy as well. As soon as Luli went in, he operated the swirl in the Dharma mirror to absorb the toxins. Luli did not mind the toxins. He walked toward the blood pond. Since he was in the toxic fog, psychic power could not reach him. Therefore, Luli swaggered toward the blood pond, oblivious to the situation outside. Outside the blood pond, Luli saw that it was not particularly large, only a bit larger than the ancestral dragon's blood. The blood was dark golden in color. As soon as Luli saw the blood, his blood was ignited and boiling. Let's go in and absorb all the blood. This was the first thought that came to Luli's mind. It was a strong thought, but Luli suppressed it. It would take some time to absorb the blood. Besides, there was toxic fog everywhere. Something could go wrong. Therefore, Luli had to put away the blood in the blood pond and find another chance to absorb it. He took out the separation bead. The bead glowed as he tried to absorb all the blood. However, the blood did not move one bit. Luli was surprised. What was going on? He could not absorb it. Luli sent a message to Blood Fairy. After a while, Blood Fairy replied, "The patterns have all been solved. I don't know why I cannot absorb them. Is it because of the primordial dragon's blood?" Luli took out the sacred mountain. Still, he could not absorb it. It was as if every drop of the blood of the Archean dragon was weighed down by thousands of pounds and could not be moved one bit. What is going on? Luli frowned. He made up his mind and dived into the blood pond. As soon as he entered the blood pond, he felt his body was burning. The dark golden blood entered his body and surged around, burning his flesh and blood. Buzzing, Luli did not consume the blood. Instead, he used the Dharma mirror to absorb the blood of the Archean dragon. Since the separation bead and the sacred mountain could not absorb the blood, Luli decided to see if he could use the Dharma mirror. After all, it was not a bad thing to absorb the blood into the Dharma mirror. Even if the Dharma mirror was condensed, the blood would be more powerful. Okay, after a moment, Luli was delighted. The Dharma mirror could absorb the blood, and it was fast. He estimated that this pool of blood essence would be completely absorbed in an hour at most. The essence blood did not stay in his body. It went directly into the Dharma realm. Therefore, Luli did not feel any discomfort. The blood essence didn't even stop there. It entered in an instant. Time passed quickly. The Dharma realm absorbed both the blood essence and the poisonous fog at the same time. The poison here was very thick. It was impossible to absorb all of it in a short period of time. After the primordial divine dragon's blood essence was absorbed into the Dharma realm, it formed a faint dark golden mist that floated in a corner of the Dharma realm. Luli didn't mind. He absorbed the essence blood quickly. An hour later, all the blood essence of the primordial dragons in the blood pond was absorbed. Luli stepped out of the blood pond with satisfaction. He was not in a hurry to go to the other side of the poison pool. Instead, he sat cross-legged nearby and checked the condition of his body. Luli checked for an hour and made sure that there was nothing wrong. Then, he walked to the distance. He began to explore the cave. He wanted to explore the inside of the cave before doing anything else. The cave was large, with a radius of more than 3 miles. The entire cave was filled with poisonous fog, but there was no more after he left the cave. Apart from the poisonous fog, there were only 2 ponds in the cave. One was the blood pond of the primordial divine dragon's blood, and the other was the poison pond. The poisonous fog was coming from the poison pond. Luli had 2 options. One was to absorb all the poisonous fog in the cave, and then let the warriors behind him pass through the cave quickly. But the poisonous fog was coming out too fast. The warriors would have to take some risks. The other way was to seal the poison pool, but this would definitely alarm the 3 dragon beasts in the poison pool. Luli thought about it and decided to play it safe. He was entrusted by the god of death to solve the poisonous fog. He could not let them be harmed by the poisonous fog. There were so many powerful warriors out there anyway. He could lure the 3 poisonous flood dragons over, and it would be easy for him to kill them. Luli walked toward the poison pond. When he was about 2 miles away from the pond, he could already feel 3 ferocious chi and energy. He took out the Saint Mountain and entered it, slowly flying towards the blood pool. Roar, roar, 3 deep, roars resounded. As the holy mountain approached, 3 venomous flood dragons rushed forward. These 3 venomous flood dragons weren't big, but their bodies were dark blue. Their claws also glowed with a blue light, and their fangs were sharp. This was a poison flood dragon that lived in the poison pond. If one was bitten by them, then one would definitely die miserably. Whoosh! A ray of light came out from the holy mountain. It was the ray of Lu Li's origin energy. At the same time, Lu Li released his powerful chi and energy to provoke the 3 flood dragons on purpose. Roar, roar, as expected, the 3 flood dragons roared and flew over. Lu Li flew the holy mountain out of the cave at once. At the same time, he sent a message to Yu Yang. The flood dragons are coming out. Get ready. Yu Yang, Gu Su, and the others were ready. They had heard the roars of the flood dragons. The powerful warriors spread out and stood in a fan shape, waiting for the flood dragons to come out. Whoosh! The sacred mountain flew out, and its body became very small. It rushed into the middle of the crowd of cultivators, and the 3 flood dragons followed closely behind. However, when they reached the area without the poisonous fog, the 3 flood dragons suddenly stopped. Attack! Young Master Lu roared and released a powerful attack. The rest of the experts also attacked. Dozens of attacks whistled out and smashed into the bodies of the 3 poisonous flood dragons. Boom! The venomous flood dragon at the front exploded, and the other 2 venomous flood dragons were also heavily injured. They quickly flew back and dove into the poison pool. Lu Li went back to the pond, trying to lure the 2 flood dragons out. However, the 2 flood dragons seemed to have some intelligence. They refused to come out. Lu Li was in a dilemma. Did he have to go back into the pond? Blood Fairy, can you set up a divine rune to seal the poison pool? Lu Li asked. Blood Fairy thought for a moment and replied, I think so. You just need to keep the poisonous fog from seeping out. Yes. Lu Li nodded. Blood Fairy began to do it, while Lu Li squatted nearby to absorb the poisonous fog. The 2 flood dragons were afraid to come out. It was easy for Blood Fairy to do it. Outside, Yu Yang and the others had been waiting for Lu Li to lure the venomous flood dragon out. They had been waiting for 10 days. The poisonous fog in the cave was getting thinner and thinner, and they could vaguely sense Lu Li's situation with their psychic power. After a while, the powerful warriors looked at each other. They saw that the poisonous fog was swarming toward Lu Li and then disappearing into his body. Lu Li was absorbing the poisonous fog quickly. Do not provoke this Emperor Realm warrior. Warriors of the Elven race and the Shadow race looked at each other. Lu Li must be skilled in poisons to be able to absorb such poisonous fog. If they provoked Lu Li, they would not even know how they were poisoned to death. Master 3. Chapter 3149. 3 days later, there was no more toxic fog in the cave. Blood Fairy had sealed off the pond, so there was no more toxic fog coming out. This time's mission was very easy. It was equivalent to obtaining 3 billion celestial stones easily. Furthermore, he had obtained the primordial divine dragon's blood essence. This mission was definitely worth it. If Lady Yuan's 10 billion celestial stones were included, then Lu Li would have made a killing. Of course, 10 billion celestial stones was not easy to earn. If Lady Yuan did not give them to Lu Li, he could not go to the Duan race and ask for them. Therefore, the 10 billion was an unknown number. The toxic fog was gone. Lu Li could let them go in at any time. However, he could not make up his mind. His business was done, and he could leave at any time. There was no need for him to go to the later levels. However, if he left, he would lose the protection of Yu Yang and the others. He might be assassinated by powerful warriors of the Shadow race and the elves under the orders of young Master Lu and Lady Yuan. He might be killed before he could leave the Taiwan region. After a while, the toxic fog in the cave was gone. Young Master Lu said, "The toxic fog is gone. Why don't you go in?" Gu Su and the others were surprised as well, but they said nothing and waited for Lu Li's orders. Lu Li opened his eyes. Blood Fairy had returned to his body. He walked out and said, "The toxic fog is gone. You could go to the next level. You? Yu Yang frowned and asked, "You're not going with us?" "Yes." Lu Li nodded. "I will wait for you here. I'm not strong enough. I cannot be of much help to you. Instead, I will drag you down." "No!" Lady Yuan shouted. She came out from the interspatial artifact. Looking at Lu Li coldly, she said, "You are here on a mission. How can you give up halfway? Is this how your god of death does things?" "Ha ha," Lu Li said with a smile. "First of all, I am not from the god of death. Second, I have a deal with the god of death. I am here to solve the toxic fog. Now that my job is done, I can choose not to go with you." "Eh?" Lady Yuan was surprised. She turned to Gusu, who nodded and said, "Yes, there is such a deal. Young Master Lu is only here to solve the toxic fog." Miss Yuan rolled her eyes and said, "What if there is more poisonous fog behind us? He's here to dispel the poison fog, but he didn't say that he's only here to dispel this stage's poison fog, right?" Miss Yuan was twisting words and forcing logic, but it was also a fallacious logic. What she said was not wrong. Lu Li frowned. He looked at Lady Yuan and said, "Lady Yuan, you want me to go with you. Is it because you don't want me to leave?" There was a rare hint of a smile in Miss Yuan's eyes, along with a hint of charm. She said, "That's right, young Master Lu. I want you to accompany us. Will you go?" The young masters were taken aback, especially those of the shadow race and the elf race. They had heard that this young lady was never kind to any man. How could she smile at Lu Li? And a little bit coquettish? Was she still Miss Yuan? "You want me to go with you?" Lu Li repeated with a smile, then suddenly changed his expression and said, "No, you." The smile on Lady Yuan's face froze. She glared at him and said coldly, "If you don't follow me to the next checkpoint, don't even think about the 10 billion. You're breaking the contract." "I won't." Lu Li put on a mocking smile and asked, "Are you sure you won't?" "Ha, ha. I suggest you think about it before you make a decision." Lady Yuan's expressions changed. She didn't argue further. She sneered and said, "You can go if you want. If you don't, think about the consequences yourself." Lady Yuan didn't want to let Lu Li go like this. What if Lu Li talked nonsense after he got out? By then, her reputation would be ruined. Therefore, she didn't want Lu Li to leave before she figured out how to deal with him. Her last sentence was a clear threat, but Lu Li wasn't afraid at all. The blood race had been wiped out, so average warriors could hardly track him down. Only powerful warriors that were close to the consummate realm could see through his skill of transfiguration and stealth. The Duan race couldn't mobilize all the powerful warriors that were close to the consummate realm to hunt him down. At that moment, Yu Yang suddenly said to Lu Li, "Brother Lu, how about you come with us? Don't worry. As long as we are still alive, nobody will dare to touch you. We, the Grim Reaper, value trust. If they want to touch you, they will have to do it over our dead bodies. That means they are enemies of the Grim Reaper." Yu Yang was the descendant of a big shot of the Grim Reaper. As the successor of the Grim Reaper, they all had their own pride. The Grim Reaper was an assassin organization, but no force in the Chaotic Star region dared to belittle the Grim Reaper. Not even the Duan race dared to start a war with the Grim Reaper. To do so would be to declare war against the demons that were standing behind the Grim Reaper. More importantly, the Grim Reaper didn't have a stable base. Even if the Duan race wanted to destroy the Grim Reaper, they couldn't kill most of the powerful warriors of the Grim Reaper at once. Once the Duan race made an enemy of the Grim Reaper, they would suffer from the assassins of the Grim Reaper and the demons. The Duan race would suffer a great loss, a price they could not afford. Therefore, as long as the Grim Reaper didn't do anything out of line, the major races in the Chaotic Star region wouldn't make trouble for it. The Grim Reaper had many rules. The assassins of the Grim Reaper were very particular about rules and would never act recklessly. This was also one of the reasons why the Grim Reaper could exist for so many years and remain so powerful. Lu Li was hesitating. Lady Yuan was a young lady from a rich family. When she was hot-headed, she could do anything. The Duan race might not do anything rash, but with Lady Yuan's influence, she could mobilize some senior patriarchs of the Shadow race and the Elven race. Therefore, if he left now, it would be dangerous. Even if he could leave the Great Desolation region, he might not be completely safe. For now, he didn't know where to go. Never mind. Luli thought about it and decided to go with Yu Yang. If there was any danger, they would be the ones to deal with it. When a main force couldn't move forward, they would retreat as well. As long as the assassins of the Grim Reaper were still alive, the Shadow race and the Elven race wouldn't dare to touch him even if they were 10 times bolder. Let's go. Luli waved his hand. Lady Yuan immediately walked forward like a rooster that had won a fight. Seeing Lady Yuan's plump but twisting, Luli felt a bit regretful. If he had known this earlier, he would have touched it more. It would be a waste not to touch it. Soon, the warriors left the cave. They had passed the 8th level and entered the 9th. Luli secretly let Blood Fairy out. Blood Fairy, go and deactivate that formation. Let the toxic haze spread out. Luli told Blood Fairy. Lady Yuan was not kind enough to him. She might resort to violence. Luli had to be cautious. He had blocked off the way back. Without him to dissolve the toxic fog, Lady Yuan and the others would all be trapped here. None of them would be able to get out. Third Master. Chapter 3150. The 9th floor was also a cave, but it was an endless series of caves. It wasn't empty, but it was filled with killing intent. There was a type of small, but exceptionally ferocious beast here. Golden devouring rats. This was a kind of ancient beast that was not extinct. It existed in many dangerous places, especially in many mines. In particular, they existed in many mineral veins, and as long as one was found, there would be a group of them. This kind of beast was as hard as iron, and its fur was like steel needles. It had been eating metal crystals all year round. Its teeth were sharp, and its defense was amazing. A group of great Emperor Realm warriors could only wait for death to deal with a group of golden devouring rats. Luckily, Lady Su Yuan and Yu Yang were strong. Boom, boom, boom. Lady Yuan and Yu Yang led the way. The great Emperor Realm warriors were protected in the middle, while Saint Emperors brought up the rear. There were caves everywhere, and they would be attacked by golden devouring rats from time to time. The golden devouring rats were fast, and they could hide in rocks. If they didn't move, they would be no different from rocks. If they moved, they would be in front of you in the next second. If you didn't have super armor, you would be bitten off. The golden devouring rats were very strong. Luli tried to attack them, but his chains of order only managed to blast away the golden devouring rats without any harm. Luli even tried to use soul attacks, but nothing happened. It was as if the golden devouring rats were puppets without souls. Boom, boom, boom. With a group of Saint Emperors attacking, Luli and the others didn't have to do anything. They just had to follow. Lady Yuan and the others were strong. Every time they attacked a golden devouring rat, they would be smashed into pieces. The sword in Lady Yuan's hand was clearly a top-level saint weapon. It was so powerful that it could kill the golden devouring rats, as if they were tofu. Luli could have taken out the halberd of Emperor Yong. It was sharp enough to kill the golden devouring rats. However, Luli would not reveal that he had a top-level saint weapon. Wealth should not be exposed. There were 30 Saint Emperors on the Grim Reaper's side. Yu Yang even asked one Saint Emperor to protect Luli, not because he was afraid that the golden devouring rats would kill him, but because Lady Yuan and young Master Lu might do something secretly. Boom, boom, boom. The group advanced quickly, and the sound of air being torn rang out from all directions. One after another, the golden devouring rats flew over, but they were easily killed like comets. Luli looked at the golden seeking rats and became confused. The golden seeking rats reminded him of a spiritual beast, the one that was like a brother to him, Little White. Little White was about the same size as the golden seeking rats. It had strong defense and sharp teeth. Luli still remembered how Little White devoured the flesh from an enemy's leg. Little White, are you still alive? If you are alive, where are you? Luli murmured. Little White had been missing for many years. Luli and many others had been hired to search for it, but to no avail. This had caused his heart to ache for many years. At this moment, seeing the golden devouring rat reminded him of Little White. Whitey, definitely won't die. Luli clenched his fists. He said to himself that if he could make it back to the Central King universe safely, he would go back to the second heaven and the divinity to look for Little White. For Luli, Little White was no longer powerful enough. It couldn't be of any help. But for Luli, Little White was more like a younger brother, a brother that grew up with him. How come we are back again? Lady Yuan's voice came from the front, which pulled Luli back from his thoughts. He took a look and found that they were back to a cave they had been to before. There were bodies of golden seeking rats here. Maze! A phrase appeared in the minds of all the martial artists. There were so many caves here, and they were all connected in all directions. They had clearly walked in one direction, but they had turned back. There was only one explanation. There was a powerful, bewildering array here, and they were trapped. Qiu Feng. Yu Yang looked back to a warrior of the great Emperor realm and said, "Let's crack the formation quickly. We cannot stay here for long. I feel something is wrong. We must crack the formation as soon as possible in case something unexpected happens." This time, 50 warriors of the God of Death came. 30 of them were Saint Kings, and the other 20, including Lu Li, were of the great Emperor realm. The 20 each had their own skills. Among them, there was a powerful warrior of rune formations, Qiu Feng. Qiu Feng was of a special race. He had the head of a wolf and the eyes of a mouse. He looked quite wretched. He was shrouded in a black robe, which made him look sneaky. He nodded and said, "Go on. I will take a look. Give me some time to crack the formation." The divine inscription array was a very mysterious thing. Although the martial artists present more or less knew a little about it, they were basically dabbling in it. After all, this kind of thing required many years of study and comprehension. None of the warriors here were old, but they were at high realms. Usually, they wouldn't have the time to study rune formations. Blood Fairy, go and have a look as well. Luli felt something was off as well. There was a strange force field in the cave. Even though the force field didn't affect them at the moment, Luli had a feeling that something might go wrong if they stayed here for too long. Lady Yuan and the others moved on. Qiu Feng checked along the way. Every now and then, he would build some small rune formations or use some source energy to observe the layout. Clearly, the formation here was built by powerful warriors. The traces of rune formations were obvious. The attacks from the powerful warriors could not destroy the cave. The most they could do was crack some rocks. An hour, 2 hours. The powerful warriors had gone through thousands of caves. They realized that they would often end up in the same place after going around in circles. This was a huge formation. If they could not crack it, it would be hard to get out. Something is wrong. Yu Yang suddenly stopped. His face was solemn. He turned around and asked, "Do you have a feeling that the atmosphere here is getting more and more depressed, more violent, and more bloodthirsty?" The powerful warriors looked at each other and noticed that they were all shocked. If Yu Yang didn't mention it, they wouldn't have paid much attention. But now that he reminded them, all of them felt it. They were getting more and more agitated. Their desire to kill was growing stronger. They wanted to chop the golden devouring rats into pieces. The weakest among them was at the great Emperor realm. Naturally, their minds would not be weak. They wouldn't be this agitated even if they were trapped here for years, let alone 2 hours. Why was this happening? It was obvious that there was a problem with the maze here, a big problem. It was the maze that affected their temperament. If they were trapped here for too long, all the experts would go berserk. It was very likely that they would kill each other, and all of them would die here. Qiu Feng. Yu Yang shouted and locked onto Qiu Feng. "Did you find anything? Is there any hope of breaking the formation?" All the experts fixed their eyes on Qiu Feng. The latter revealed a sliver of embarrassment as he lowered his head and said, "I have not found a way to break the formation yet. The divine formation here is too strong. I still need more time." Big trouble. Yu Yang and Lady Yuan looked at each other, and their expressions became even more solemn. Judging from Qiu Feng's expression, the possibility of breaking the array was extremely low. If they would be trapped here for a few months, how many of them would be able to survive? Third sect leader. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.